good choice of music tonight, man.
Did you like that? You like that music?
Oh, yeah. I dig this.
The song is called Hot Thing.
Yeah.
It's for an extra special episode, number 69.
Yeah,
69.
Did his voice get deeper when he said that?
Nobody here thought that was funny because we're all very mature, responsible citizens.
You might expect that we have some dirty, depraved episode.
Well, it is about penis
store for
enlargement,
you.
right?
Huh?
It's about penis enlargement. Isn't that what we're talking about?
It might get brought up.
Special guest?
Happenstance could be a possibility.
Yeah.
I don't know, but I mean, it's an episode about money and taxes and the government. And
sorry, I did not get the memo.
in hindsight, we have our guest with us tonight, Carson and Teran Sands of Sands Co. and What Your CPA Wants You to Know podcast and books.
Hello.
Yes, thanks for having us.
Yeah, it's good to have y'all back. It's almost been 2 years.
I was wondering how long it had been.
I think it was April of 2022. So we're getting close.
Before we started our podcast.
Yeah. Before you started your podcast, we're going to dive right into that. But anyways, welcome back to Whiskey Bros Around the Table, the highly rated, highly anticipated, most unprofessional podcast you might ever find. But we're here.
Viewer discretion is advised.
Hey, I'm buttoning my shirt.
Only because Taryn's here. You know, you
Right. It's usually
never
just
know what
real
she's going to
safe.
say.
Yeah.
You get
That's the
that
point.
edit button ready?
Hey, oh, yeah.
When
I'm
she
just
talks.
waiting.
Does everybody have a beverage?
Don't.
No, I do not.
Oh, well, then somebody's got to help Carson out here.
Yours.
You want tequila?
Oh, man.
Nika?
I see how it is. You gave my beautiful wife something to drink, and you said, fuck that.
Yep.
I had two bottles waiting for me.
He did. Well, he did say.
We do have this barrel bourbon as well, which is a great. It's a great one.
Which
But
one
if you like
Which
single
one is it,
malts,
Doc?
the Nika is the way to go.
I'll try it. It looks. I've never seen a bottle like this. Plus, it has Japanese writing on it.
Yeah,
Because
Okay.
it's
it
Must
is
be
a
good.
Japanese whiskey. It's very
Japan.
good.
It could have just as easily been Chinese. I wouldn't have known the difference. But
Nicely done, man.
Thank you.
Nicely done. What are you? Oh, you're pouring the barrel. Okay.
Yes, barrel bourbon. I really do love these selections.
I'm just watching Doc pour his drink.
All right. Cheers. Happy
Cheers.
holidays. Merry Christmas.
Cheers.
Happy
Clink,
end of
clink,
tax
clink,
season for
clink.
you guys.
Yeah.
thank you.
all
Thank
the
you very
things.
much.
If you're a normal, hardworking, everyday American and find your shits are only rated 1 star, well, let me tell you how to up your game to a 5-star shit. Autron Till's the answer for you. Feel free to skip this ad if you want, but you won't be skipping the bathroom if you do. We're just telling you how our guts cope with the abuse we hand them on a daily basis. You've heard Dr. Brown and Eric Rieger talk about 5-star shits on this show, so let's talk about Autron Till. Autron Till is created by Dr. Brown as an easy hack for a healthy gut. It's the only over-the-counter product proven to stop bloating and symptoms associated with IBS. These are all natural polyphenols and non-GMO. Anyone suffering should try the 630 plan. What is the 630 plan, you might ask? That's 6 capsules a day for 30 days. And if you're not having 5-star shits by the end of 30 days, you can get your money back. Click in the show notes and enjoy a minimum of 15% off. Or go to autrontil.com and use the keyword Whiskey Bros at checkout. I hope you
That
drink
Nika is good,
tequila,
yeah.
Neat. He said you like tequila, so
I do.
I brought the finest. That
I do.
Patron is the whiskey drinker's tequila. That one's aged in whiskey barrels for, I forget how long, but it's good.
37 years.
A double añejo. Exactly 37 years. I mean, the man down there knows his shit. What can I say?
And this Nika is good. Usually, if you say something has an aftertaste, that's bad. But this one, I think it finishes cleaner than it starts.
It has
starts pretty good too.
It has like a campfire smoky finish to me. I mean, that's that single malt quality for sure, but
Yeah.
I get a little of the campfire in it.
I get a little bit
Yeah.
of that, but in a good way, not like the
Yeah, not
double
the over,
smoke campfire of the
yeah.
High West. Sorry. Beautiful restaurant, beautiful views, awful whiskey.
Yeah. When did y'all get to go there?
It was for one of our anniversaries.
Was it?
Yeah, she
Okay.
took me there and we did a flight.
It was awful.
For tequila drinkers, I imagine so.
And but for whiskey drinkers,
It was
I
just bad.
didn't
Yeah.
like any. I tried 4 and I didn't like any of them, which it was probably their 4 lower end ones.
Yeah.
But I know that some people really like their stuff. I just didn't like it.
Did you, Taryn, did you get into the Midwinter's Night's Dram?
No.
Did you get to try that one? Okay, well, that's High West Pappy. You know, it's their creme de la creme.
No, we got their lowest tier.
Campfire.
That one's rough.
Yeah.
And it was their 4 cheapest probably from on the flight.
Yeah,
but
that one's rough. I remember we all started with that back in the day at Trinity, and everybody's like, "Oh yeah, it's good." Yeah, no, you're full of shit. You're just trying to look cool.
never like it.
Yeah.
Campfire was a great name for it, though. I mean, it literally tastes like you put campfire ashes in a decent bottle of whiskey.
We've just learned that campfire and whiskey don't go together in any form.
Now, that other one y'all had, that one tasted more like you put cigarette ashes
Yeah.
in. Which one was that?
That was the Traeger
one,
Whistle
yeah.
Pig. What was it? Smokehouse.
I can't remember
Traeger
the name.
Smokehouse, I
It's like having a traumatic experience,
Yeah, it just
and your mind
blotted
does
it.
this thing to where it's like you forget it.
Yeah,
I can't remember. I can't remember the name. Farm stock smokehouse. I can't remember.
Something.
Smokehouse.
You really hated it.
I really hated
But
it.
the High West,
Really
the Boo Rye, it was good.
Yeah, it was
Boo-Ray,
good.
or however you want to call it.
And then Yippee-Ki-Yay. I've still got a
Yeah,
bottle of that
that one was
stashed away.
good.
It's, as soon as I found out they weren't going to make it anymore, I'm like, that one goes in the safe. You know, an investment.
That's right.
Yeah. Mhm.
That's right.
See, they had the double rye.
Yeah, I'm not big on that one either. I
Yeah, it
think
was
I
a
have
little
them.
too.
It was good.
It was,
See, I liked it in old fashions because it would cut through.
it did cut through. It was
Yeah.
pretty
Yeah.
ripe. It was pretty ripe.
So you're
All right.
saying it was so good you needed to add sugar to it to make
Yes.
it palatable.
That's exactly what I'm saying. Some things are that way.
Yeah. Yeah, I could see that.
Doesn't mean you don't drink them. You just have to pick your method.
Right.
Well, how's everything going with you guys since we last spoke?
The last 2 years.
A little bit to sum up here.
Yeah.
You've started your own podcast, What Your CPA Wants You to Know podcast, on all the available platforms. I'm a fan. Is anybody
you.
else in here a fan?
Oh, yeah.
I mean, I think I liked it, but I don't even watch ours, so no.
I know. I'll go through and review all of our stuff, as agonizing as it can be sometimes. And I'm asking, like, what do you think about this part in the episode? He's like, I don't
Yeah.
listen to our shit, man. Okay.
Carson doesn't listen either.
Really?
It drives me crazy.
I listen when she interviews someone else and I'm not in it.
Yeah.
But anything that, I'm on already, I don't like to hear my own voice that much.
Well, here's something you can relate to. I find it like, Saturday morning game footage. Like, you can go in and kind of review, like, oh, I sounded like an idiot here. I used the wrong word here. Like, last week I used the word unassemble. Well, clearly the word is disassemble. And I'm just beating myself senseless over that for, a full day.
I didn't even catch it, man.
What you got to do
Yeah.
is use it more after you find the mistake and just do it with a lot of confidence, and people will just think that they're stupid.
How many of you have seen the movie Boondock Saints?
I have.
Okay.
And the sequel.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, good sequel too. Boondock Saints. You
No.
seen it? Heath, have you seen Boondock Saints? Do you remember when he used the word? There's a lot of symbology here, and it's
Symbolism.
yeah, the word is symbolism. Symbolism. What the hell is that actor's name? He's the one that played the Green Goblin in the
Yeah,
first. William Dafoe.
yeah.
William Dafoe,
Dafoe,
and he
yeah.
just had that quintessential William Dafoe assholiness, and it was
Yeah.
like the word is symbolism.
Yeah.
Symbolism. And the movie had Ron Jeremy in it too.
Oh, man.
If you
It's a
remember
great.
that.
Yeah.
I need to go back and revisit that. It's a 20-year-old movie now.
Oh,
Yeah.
it's so good, though. Oh, I used to be able to quote the whole line from the courthouse. Now you shall receive us. I can't do it anymore. But I'll spare everybody. But
I love the stuttering bartender.
oh yeah,
What is it? You
he always mixes metaphors. Make like a tree. And
make
get
like
the
a-
fuck out of
get
here.
the cop- Yeah. Oh, it's so great. And then you know what another old movie is? Black Hawk Down. I watched that one the other day. I'm like, I'm feeling pretty.
Oh, that's
ancient.
a cool.
I'm feeling pretty ancient. But
Yeah, that movie was like ahead of its time.
yeah, it really was. There was no bullshit. It was just all
Right.
action.
Yeah.
I mean, technically, no, it was.
No, it was after its time.
It was after its time.
Yeah. But I mean, as far as like the
Cinematography.
yeah, cinematography and the technical aspects,
right.
that was about the time of Gladiator as well.
It was another good movie.
Right.
There was like that era from 95 to 2005 where it's just great
Yeah.
war stuff. And now everything is just Marvel.
Saving Private Ryan.
Yeah, Saving
That was
Private-
another one.
That led the way.
Right.
And then you had the series Band of Brothers that came out, and it was just a great decade.
Right.
And then Marvel and Disney. and all that.
It's impossible to get anything in the theater unless you're owned by Disney now.
I know.
Seems like.
It really is.
And
then,
I do like some of the stuff. I mean, I am getting tired of superhero movies. Taryn is way more tired of them than
Yeah.
me.
I can't.
done.
And there's so many of them to keep up with. Like, how in
Yeah.
the hell do you keep up with the timeline?
You need to be a 16-year-old boy with nothing to do.
There you go. Or a 28-year-old that lives in the mom's basement. Well,
Yeah.
Well, it just
either will work.
it just keeps going on and on.
Yeah.
And it's almost like they worked through like the big ones. They got through the meat of the Marvel universe, but then they're just now like just trying to continue it, and it's
Well,
just
they have to keep
so
going
old
bigger.
hat.
So then they have the one with what's her name that was married to Brad Pitt, Angelina Jolie, and she's in there, and it's like they're gods, and
I mean,
they have to keep making it bigger and bigger. But Thor was already a god, so they're like more god.
What?
And I don't know. I didn't even watch that one, but it looked crazy.
Okay, so have y'all read the Iliad and the Odyssey?
Oh yeah.
He said that compares to modern day Marvel characters. Like they're demigods, and then you have your Zeus, and I'm struggling to read those things. They're tough. I'm starting with the Iliad, and they said it's the toughest.
yeah.
The Odyssey, I think,
Odyssey,
is a little easier
you
to
actually
digest.
have more of a storyline. You have a main character. You're not following like 20 characters.
But do you like to listen to audiobooks and when you're working and stuff, right?
Yes.
So,
That's probably
but
the
you just
perfect time.
have to be careful that because old stuff like that gets recorded by 100 different narrators.
Yeah.
And so you have to find the right person, or you could get somebody with a really heavy British accent that puts you to sleep.
Yeah.
No offense to people with really heavy British accents.
But they put you to sleep.
But if you're going to offend somebody, I mean, a British person would probably be the best
Lying
choice.
bastards.
But yeah, I mean, you got to be careful because some of those the classics they've been recorded 100 different times. If you can find it by Scott Brick, he records a lot of the classics. He would be the go-to.
Can open my app. Speaking of Great Britain and the British Isles, y'all just had a trip across the Atlantic to Ireland, right?
Yeah.
We did for
How
our
was
10th
that?
anniversary.
You took your kids and everything this time.
Yeah.
Okay, so tell us a little bit about that.
Well, it was awesome. We took 25 people, right? Wow. Yeah, so we just told everyone that we were going to go back for 10 years, and then we blinked, and 10 years was here.
Ooh, yeah.
And so out of like 50 people that went to our wedding, 25 people came back with us. So it was awesome. We took our babysitter with us, so full disclosure. We had an extra set of hands because one person to one kid seemed to be the right ratio there.
Well, yeah, and there's so many things that we did there where they're just not as keen on the safety things as they are in America. They're like, if you're stupid, then,
Go for it.
you're going to die.
Yeah.
So, and kids are all stupid. So we were like, if we're each holding a kid by the hand, then the third one's going to jump off the cliffs of Moher, which we knew we were going to go see. There's no safety rails.
No.
I mean, they're just like,
Really?
don't get close. It's a cliff, dude. You don't need safety rails. Just don't get close to the edge. That's their
In
attitude over
America,
there.
that would need a committee and then a decision from the committee and then a half a year to get permits. And
Yeah.
And then you got to put a rail up.
I mean,
Sign
the
all the
Empire State Building
disclosures.
has like chain link around the top of it because they're like, no, people are stupid. But over there, they'd just be like, well, I mean, it's a
If
building.
you're gonna jump, you're
don't
gonna
don't
jump.
fall. Like,
Yeah.
don't get close to the edge unless you want to fall. So we thought having one adult per kid would be safer.
It's a smart idea because I'm learning that children get into everything.
It's like their
Yes.
goal is to see like, can I die today?
Yeah, their goal is to die.
Today,
you have to stop them.
My daughter learned to unplug the Christmas lights, remove ornaments from the tree, and then like pick up the end of the vacuum cord with the prongs. Obviously, it's not electrified because it's unplugged, and then put that in her mouth and smile at me like,
Look what I did.
keep on your toes. So yeah, three to three. Your ratio is pretty good there with having the babysitter. That's a smart decision. Not everybody gets to do that though. What all did you see while you were there?
Well, we went we started in Dublin, and so that was cool. And then we went to Waterford Castle, and that's where we got married.
Okay.
So we got to spend some time there. It's on an island, and it's super cool.
Okay.
And we went to Giant's Causeway,
Yeah,
which
those
is by the ocean. It's so cool.
they're all hexagonal stones,
Yeah.
right?
Yes.
And it looks like they're carved by man, but it's just over time erosion is.
Yeah, it was awesome.
It looks like if Giants had an asphalt road or something. That's kind of what it looks like.
Is it really as impressive in person? It's
Yeah.
not one
More.
of those
It
Instagram
really
things.
is.
Even more, and when your kids are old enough, I mean, it's like a playground.
Yeah.
We're just like climbing up stuff, and
Again, no safety.
No.
So
No.
it's like they
No.
can be a little
we
adventurous.
totally could have fallen off so easily. Yeah,
That makes it even more enjoyable,
Yeah.
in my opinion. I mean, you're not really being held back, and it's up to the parent to don't be stupid.
Yeah.
yeah,
If you're stupid, you will die.
yeah. That was a lot of
Basically
fun.
what we said.
What does it feel like in Ireland? Like, does it feel like a different time? You know, or
Sometimes.
does
Yeah.
it feel like just
I mean, Dublin's a city.
okay?
But
So
there's
that feels very
about 1 million
normal.
people there, and then the whole rest of the island, there's only 2 million more. The total population is like 3 million for the whole country, and
Wow.
1 million of them are in Dublin. So you get outside of Dublin, and probably 500,000 in Galway, maybe not that many, but you get outside of those two big cities, and you have this. It's probably a little bit smaller than Texas, the whole country, but still, there's 1.5 million people spread out throughout the country there. It does feel like another time. And a lot of the counties, they're required to build their fences out of the stone that they find in that county just to keep it realistic.
Oh, that's interesting.
Just it keeps that that look, the shepherd look and
Yeah.
everything like that. And it's really cool. There's
That's-
castles everywhere.
So does that carry across Europe? You're not going to see skyscrapers of fast food joints and
It
signs.
depends on the place.
So that's there too.
There's
Only
some,
in Dublin. That's
Yeah.
it.
Oh, but he said the rest of Europe.
Oh, yeah.
yeah, but if you're in like so the big city still feels
Yeah.
like the big city.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter whether it's like Dallas, Houston, or Berlin,
Okay.
Yeah.
right?
Right. When we were in parts of Munich, parts of Munich, or even like New York
Yeah.
almost, and then other parts are. It depends on what places have been destroyed by the war too, because they try to preserve old buildings and important buildings and stuff. But there was things in Germany and in England that were destroyed by the war, less so in other countries.
Well, in Prague, I don't remember ever seeing like a McDonald's or fast food or anything. So
That's nice. Okay. That's what
Yeah.
I'm just, you drive through a small town America and it's just a sea of neon signs sticking 400 feet into the
Oh,
atmosphere,
yeah.
just like attracting little insects. Come in, beckoning to us.
Even in
Come in,
Sedona, we
destroy
were in
yourself.
Sedona, and it's supposed to be this like spiritual town in Arizona and everything. The first thing you'll see when you Google it is
Yeah.
that they're the only place in the world where there's turquoise golden arches for McDonald's. So the very first thing when you Google
Wow.
Sedona will be the effing McDonald's with turquoise arches. Everyone's so excited about. I'm like,
Same
really?
food.
Oh my
It's
gosh.
still McDonald's. Is the food different?
No,
No.
it's not.
It's the same food.
That's
in there, so.
depressing. Yeah, I
It's
forgot
kind
y'all
of
just got back from Sedona. How was that trip? That was
no kids.
right?
No
that
kids,
was
yeah.
That was
mom and dad.
amazing.
We did some awesome hikes. We got really lucky with the weather because it rained everyone out of hiking and it scared them away. So we got to do the most popular hike, one of the most popular hikes in the country. And there's usually like a 3-hour wait to take pictures and everything. And there was nobody there. So it was really cool.
Nobody.
There was like,
I would think that it'd be
Maybe like-
extremely popular right now with
but
holidays.
so
and-
that day it rained and people were scared to go on the hike.
fair
But it
weather
didn't rain that
fans.
hard. So
Yeah.
we just we got some ponchos and we just did it.
I'll be damned. Yeah, here's the
good.
McDonald's with turquoise.
Thanks for
blue
pulling that up. We just
arches.
needed, confirmation.
Yeah, it's hideous.
Number one tourist attraction there. Go take your picture there.
That's sad.
I think the guy that started McDonald's maybe really liked Sedona, and so he did a special one there. Something weird, I don't know. And so maybe that makes it a little more okay because it was back when McDonald's had real burgers and not whatever they have now.
Yeah.
But
So how do you feel about McDonald's?
you should hear our kids talk about McDonald's.
They think
Yeah.
it's like a curse word or something. And if someone says, "Yeah, I went to McDonald's," they're like, "Oh, no."
We went
They're gonna
by
die.
on Thanksgiving. We drove by it, and they're like, "Yes, McDonald's is closed. Thank God." They're
Oh
like,
man,
That's really reassuring to hear.
it's like you
We
you
brainwash them.
yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
Well, I've
if
shown
you-
them what they make the nuggets out of and everything.
If you
so.
didn't brainwash them, they'd be brainwashed the other way by the shit they see on TV with advertisements and Ronald McDonald and all the cute little
man.
characters. It's
I remember
not-
the commercials when I was a kid. They were mesmerizing.
Yeah.
Yeah. So how did you pull off some of the pictures that I saw on Instagram? Because you had y'all doing like yoga poses and stuff, but from across the canyon from wherever the camera was.
Tripod.
Yeah.
Tripod
I
and,
made
and,
Carson carry my tripod.
did you have like a timer on it or remote?
Yeah, I just started a video and videoed the whole thing and pulled some pictures from that. And then there was a lady that came up and she took more for us too. So
Okay.
it was very just us and like a couple of people out there. It was awesome.
I didn't know if you might have gotten famous enough to where some photographer was like, "Oh, I take your photograph."
No, not there
I don't
yet.
know why he talks like this in Sedona. But
No, but we're not shy to ask people. I mean, when I say there was no one there, I mean they say there's a 3-hour wait, but there was like 10 people.
We
Yeah.
just we
I
just
mean, there
walked right
were
up.
a few people we could ask for
Okay.
to help us take pictures.
But it's mostly Sedona is mostly just beautiful, right?
Oh, yeah.
With how
pretty.
it's situated between the rocks and
Yes.
okay.
Exactly. It is. It's. I said that, and then the tour guide said the same thing. It's the perfect blend of like the Colorado Red Rock area
Yeah.
with like New Mexico mountain forest area,
deserts,
and it's
yeah.
like they just smashed the two together.
That's
It's
cool.
really cool. Yeah. It's really. And when you're in Sedona, you're surrounded by the cliffs and the mountains and everything, the Red Rock. So
Very
really
tranquil.
cool. We did go to the vortexes and get some healing.
Yeah,
So
we're
Well, that's
healed.
cool.
Those are interesting, aren't they? Yeah. Where shit
mean-
rolls uphill.
you can. There was
Really?
Have you ever heard of these things?
No.
Yeah. There's one in Montana. I've never been to the one in Arizona, but like there's a gravitational vortex, as they say, and like you can have a ramp that goes, lower ends here, higher ends here, put a ball in and roll right up it.
There's some magnetism. Now the scientific thing about the magnetism is true. There's maybe 0.5% to 1% more magnetism in Sedona in general, and specifically in those vortex spots. Whether there's any science to the healing properties that it has, there's no evidence yet. From what everyone's, from what I read about it, but the trees do grow in a weird twisting pattern there.
And birds don't
And
typically fly through there. If
there's-
you've noticed that, it's eerily quiet
It is
typically.
very
and
quiet.
if you have a magnet and hold it, it will not swing with the wind. It will swing with the magnetic field, even if the wind's blowing the other way. And then there's some other weird things like your compass can be thrown off in certain areas and
Well,
things
the
like
one-
that
the
because
one
of
I was
magnetism.
at, you could like lean at a very, very steep degree and not fall on your face.
Oh no, they didn't have
Yeah.
that.
Okay, interesting.
That's
I just think it's an error in the simulation that we live in, and some
yeah, maybe.
some stuff's gone
Right.
whack there. The programmer hadn't figured it out yet.
But
Sounds like we should have played my music before we started talking about
No, right.
But how did the
X-Files
places
music.
like that come to be? Because at some point, like through history, you have this growing realization that okay, this place just feels odd,
Yeah.
and and then maybe like the culture just kind of centers it around, like gives it some label of healing, and then
Well, they
all of
were-
a sudden people are traveling to the place to.
No, they were
Find
widely
healing.
known by Native Americans and indigenous people, and that's where the healing thing came from.
Man, that's so
Is it
interesting.
Navajo that are in Sedona?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and they believed in that there were spirits there and all kinds
Absolutely.
of crazy stuff.
So- So there's something different about those places
Very
that we
much
can't
so.
explain.
Very much so. Yeah.
they believed it, yeah.
Yeah.
And there's the they call it New Age people, but the psychics and the tarot card readers and everything. I mean, they're on every corner. It's crazy the number
Really?
of people. The crystal
Crystals,
salesmen.
yeah.
So, yeah, it's wild.
It's like an energy place.
Yeah.
Didn't you try some crystal stuff when you
Meth.
were going through
I mean,
that's a different kind of crystal. Different kind of crystal.
get some work done? This program sponsored by Crystal Meth. Get your shit done today.
No, she,
I think
you
that's the only thing I
you
didn't
try
try.
crystals when
No,
you.
I would have. I would have tried it.
Yeah, that's
We-
there's a big movement with that right now,
Yeah.
and they're like healing crystals, and I don't know what all they do. I've never seen them.
We
Yeah, I
did
know
take
it.
our
Oh,
socks off and everything to make sure we got all the healing power.
To ground into the vortex and the magnetism.
Yeah.
I don't
Okay.
believe it works, but it's not that kind of thing. It's not a spiritual thing where you have to believe in it. Either it works or it doesn't. So if it works, then
Great.
it worked. It did
Great.
something for me. Or if it didn't, then it didn't do anything. So
yeah,
Well,
I
there's-
know a lady that quit wearing deodorant because she has a deodorant crystal.
does it work?
She says, I haven't worn deodorant in like years.
Did you sniff her pits?
I didn't smell her, so
Yeah, that would
Did you
definitely.
tell her I
require
need you to
smell
take off all your clothes and let me sniff you just to see?
my nose up in it.
test. There's some hair down there too. Then if that's going on, she's not
Yeah.
shaving those
I
pits,
don't know,
man.
man.
I don't know. We're learning some interesting stuff. Like think about red light therapy. That
UV.
yeah,
Or no, not UV. Infrared.
Yeah,
Actual
no,
infrared
actual like red light therapy.
Okay.
So basically, certain wavelengths actually interact with the mitochondria to displace oxygen for nitrogen.
Yeah.
or something like that. Like we're learning some weird stuff actually affects us that we didn't think had any effect on us whatsoever.
Yeah, that's crazy. I just met
Yeah.
somebody up at the Chief, and they were talking about they fell down some stairs and jacked up their arm, and that's what they used.
Yeah,
Red light there.
yeah. Red light, or different wavelengths of like current too, or this whole idea of going outside and quote unquote grounding.
Or getting like natural sunlight and not slathering yourself in chemical laden UV blocking stuff, because we kind of evolved and grew.
Yeah,
with
and
the
we're
sun.
not just hashing an old Joe Rogan episode that was recently on, but
I haven't listened to him in a while.
yeah, Gary Brecka was actually a pretty good one.
Oh yeah, I think you mentioned him last.
And he
week.
talked about all this stuff too, but there is some scientific basis behind what he's saying, or some of the claims.
We even did an episode on that. You go out and charge your butthole.
Yeah, just
sun your bum.
lay on the lawn, like open your cheeks up to the sun, and
And if you're in the city, do it in your front lawn so everybody knows what you're up to, and then
Right.
you start a trend.
right.
You might go to jail,
Yeah.
but you're going to start a trend. It's
No,
trend-worthy.
if it's some hippy dippy bullshit reason that you're doing it, then you can definitely get away with it. And in fact, anybody giving you a hard time about it is a hate crime.
That's true. Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah, that's true.
So yeah, I would not be surprised if there was not something to those places, just because we can't
be.
describe it.
The magnetism. I mean,
Yeah.
when people wear those copper wrist things,
Oh,
like all the
yeah.
old dudes, and that
Yeah.
isn't that something to do with the magnetism or something?
Yeah, that's what, and not that I understand that. And
I don't either, but
I think
you
it's-
have those people that do that, and then you have the people that think the magnetism at the vortexes or something is magical. So
right.
Did y'all ever have those bracelets that had like the two magnets?
Yeah, that's what he's talking about.
No.
And
He's
where-
talking about just regular like copper
Copper?
bracelets that are malleable. These were
like they always show old dudes golfing with them on the commercials for
Yeah.
them and everything.
These were like latex or rubberized, and they had two little silver emblems on them. And the test I did was if you put it on, or you do a test with your flexibility before you put it on, and you could only go so far one way or the other or stretch. And then you put this thing on, and you're like, oh, you're the exorcist all of a sudden. and you
Yeah,
can
but that's
do it.
I've always looked at that as being a phenomenon. It's
the
like,
power of suggestion.
yeah. Usually, whenever I like bend down to touch my toes on the second time, I can go farther than the first time.
How often do you do that?
All the time.
I haven't touched my toes in
Really?
years. I haven't touched my
Really?
toes in years. No.
No, okay, so you should, just as a point of like personal improvement, like touch your toes every day.
Dude, I'm all torso. I'm 6'3".
Yeah.
And most of my shit is torso.
So you don't get out of bed and like touch your toes?
Never.
Okay, so this week do that. Even if you got to bend your knees quite a bit, you just like get out of bed and like
Oh, I thought the point
rear
was to
back
not bend
and then
your
goes
knees.
touch your toes, and then rear back again.
My
then
wife's
touch
going to be
your
like, what
toes.
the fuck have you gotten into?
Yeah, no, it's called stretching.
did-
Right? Benjamin Franklin did it. Yeah.
Well, if old Ben Franklin did it, then by God, so can Firebro.
Yeah.
Didn't he get syphilis from his mistress in France?
Or
I heard that. Yeah, I did hear
where's
that
the
as well.
conspiracy corner
I know.
intro here? Yeah, or a conspiracy crossroads. We need some of that. Do you have anything of that today? No conspiracy
I
crossroads?
mean, I could probably find something pretty quick.
I texted
Not
out
really.
about this thing.
Texted who out?
I don't want to say it because it'll kind of take some of the flair out if it does become our conspiracy crossroads. But here,
Do I need the
let
music?
me pull it up on the.
Do I need the music?
Yeah, okay, do it.
He's been wanting to do the music
Yeah.
so bad.
Yeah, he's been wanting to do it.
Where's my mouse? I gotta find the music. Find the music. Find the music.
How do you even find things for the conspiracy corner when every conspiracy is starting to turn out to
They
be
find
true?
I don't have
you.
to. I don't have
They
to
find
look.
you.
It just comes to me.
Here we
It's
go.
just
Here
like
we
they
go.
all end up
Here we
being
go.
real.
Here we go. Here we go. This is how you know we're almost a professional podcast.
And now, it's time for Conspiracy Crossroads with Savage Bro.
Except it's not tonight.
Tonight we're Dr. Fagley.
Okay, so eating old beef might be better than eating young beef.
Yeah, we got to save this for a whole nother episode.
Isn't aged beef a thing? Isn't that how it gets
Yeah,
flavored?
that whole long. Let me look it up on my phone just for a chance to shut it down. No, we're doing it next episode.
Because we can go on. I mean, the episode's about them tonight specifically.
Okay.
and we could go on for 30
but I
minutes.
did.
About
I had
this.
I had a patient that came in and he said, "Yeah, here's one for you guys." And then looked it up, and he might be right. This whole idea that we should be eating younger cows, okay, because they're safer,
Yeah.
but maybe we're missing out on a lot of flavor that older cows are actually better tasting.
Better tasting and a little more tender. France, I know, likes older beef. I think the Brits do too, perhaps. But you could put a 5-year-old steak on a counter and typically an 11 to 15-month-old calf, a steak cut from that, and there's going to be a huge color difference. There's going to be a dark ruby red from that old cow, and then a bright, more of a pinkish red from that calf.
Right.
So
Well, and apparently at the butcher themselves, like whenever they process the older beef, they have to cut out the spine because of mad cow disease, which we haven't seen, thankfully, in a long time.
Right.
But
That's
other
why you're
than
not supposed to
that,
eat cow brain too, right?
yeah, don't
don't-
eat any brains.
yeah, just don't.
Yeah,
Especially
from any-
human brains.
yeah.
Don't eat human brains.
But the lady that sold me my crystal said that it makes you smarter.
Well,
Well,
I don't know what kind of crystals she's selling you, but you probably shouldn't consume them or
Yeah.
touch
It was
them.
it was blue and you're supposed to smoke it. I'm not sure.
yeah.
Made by Walter White, the artist. Okay, back to you guys.
Okay, so you're unimpressed by the whole conspiracy crossroads.
I'm not impressed. I'm underwhelmed.
Underwhelmed?
Yeah.
It's like, it kind of blew my mind, quite frankly, that there's a whole industry built around getting cows to market
It's just-
younger.
It's a cultural thing. It's a regional thing, and it's like we can age beef in an aging fridge, and that taste somebody might love it, and other people's aren't. Now I go back and forth. Not 50% of the time, but some of the time I want some aged beef.
Yeah,
Most of the time I just like it right off the shelf.
right. But this,
It's a regional thing. There's
I don't know.
There's no
That's-
nutritional differences. I really don't think.
so should we be seeking out a steak from like a 15-year-old cow just to experience it?
Yeah, absolutely. Good luck finding
Josh.
that. Yeah, they're going to be the ones to ask.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
And don't
Okay,
you get more
settled.
meat that way? So
depends.
okay.
Not typically.
What do you mean by that? Like get more
So
meat?
they
from-
get bigger.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Well,
I
usually
gotcha.
when you're okay, all right. To be specific here, usually when you're getting an older animal, it's an animal that's been put out to pasture, lived most of its life consuming grass and natural ruminants, versus a calf that's been grass fed, hay fed, and then high protein and high fat content to really get that marbling and that fat out. So, yes, massive flavor differences. Tenderization may be one thing, but nutritionally, it may be aged cow may be a little bit healthier because you're going to have an animal that's not been fed grains typically to be finished.
So then, if you compared a grass-fed old cow to a grass-fed young cow, would there be any nutritional difference?
No. As long as they have not been finished out with grains and high fat, cubes,
like-
whatever.
more omega-6 to omega-9s or omega-3s to omega-6s.
That's doctor talk. That's not farmer talk. So yes.
Yeah, maybe.
I don't
Right?
know much about all that. Just they put it on the label in my fish oil pills. So.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, no, but maybe a lot of people who aren't butchering their old cow because they think they're just going to get a bunch of hamburger meat out of it, they might need to rethink that.
Well, at that point, what else are you going to do with it? If it's past
Make
having
steak.
babies and
Yeah.
that's
Yeah,
Yeah,
makes it-
typically. There may be a threshold. Old cow referenced in this article may be, 10-year-old.
15.
Was it specifically
yeah.
15? Okay,
So
that's interesting.
I want to say they tried 3 different ages.
Yeah.
And one was your typical, 30 month?
No,
and then
typically
like
it's
a-
21 days.
Oh,
Oh no, hold on. Sorry,
No,
I'm thinking about hanging
Yeah,
it and after processing.
like 30-month-old cow.
Not necessarily. No, I mean you're looking at a year to 15 months with what you probably see predominantly on shelves.
Wow.
30 months is out there.
Wow. Interesting.
that. Even though I'm not a vegan or anything, it makes me a little bit sadder to think about a 1-year-old cow being my hamburger than a 15-year-old. It's like 15, you had a pretty
They've
good
lived their-
life,
yeah.
and especially cows. I mean, at 15 years, you've done everything a cow can do in 15 years.
So you
that's
don't
for
eat
sure.
you don't eat veal then, huh?
No, I do all the time. Veal Parmesan is
yeah.
so good.
Throw some eggplant on top
Yeah.
of that.
But veal means a
Yeah.
lot of things too. Like, sometimes it's like a delicacy, but also some of the veal farms are just to get crappy meat for crappy meat sources, right? It's like
Yeah.
like the dairy farms,
Yeah.
they spit out the male cows that they aren't going to use for breeding,
Right.
and they just send them to the veal farms, and they don't mean the fancy kind of veal.
No.
They're going to be shitty meat that
shitty
nobody
veal.
wants to eat.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. And but sometimes it's like, oh, veal parmesan, and it's going to be expensive. I don't know. Or is it the same shitty shit, and they're just charging a premium for it, and I'm falling for
You
it?
can cover up a lot of stuff by deep frying something. So
Yeah, deep fry, put marinara and cheese on it. You could eat a fried turd that way probably.
So does an old cow cost more per pound to produce? Because
it really
if
depends.
you think about
I mean,
it,
if you're calving that old cow
I mean, this
out,
may be where the accountant needs to speak, but
if you're calving that old cow out on an annual, every 15 months or so, you're getting a product from her. And if you're just feeding her grass, then
Yeah.
it's self-sustaining.
But how much fertilizer does it take to keep that extra?
I mean, ideally
grass?
none, unless you live here where we have
Right.
horrible
That's
summers.
what because here it's either you buy feed or you buy fertilizer, and both are getting pretty expensive.
Yeah. No,
So
ideally you
keeping
would have
that
them.
cow alive for a lot longer period of time, unless they are calving out, in which case you're probably profiting.
Yeah, you would have them ideally on a rotational grazing pattern, and assuming you have decent normal seasonal rain, then your input is minimal. And
Yeah.
kind of a
Do
self-sustaining.
you have to? You don't
interesting.
have to keep vaccinating them. I don't know that much about that part. I know you do it when they're young, but
Yeah, you vaccinate them once, with a COVID and other sorts of vaccinations. Bovine COVID's been a thing for a long, long time.
yeah.
Somebody made a joke the other day when I posted us, vaccinating our calves. Like, oh, giving them the vax. I'm like, actually, yeah, we do vaccinate them for, livestock COVID. Bovine COVID's a thing, but it didn't jump to humans. Let's not do that. Let's not go there tonight. Okay, we're so fucking far off track. It's insane right now.
I know. So I think the
Yes,
theme.
vaccinate them as calves once a year. You give them an annual worming treatment, and that comes out to like $2 a cow on a yearly basis.
Okay. So I think the theme here is you can have your mama and eat her too.
Go ahead and finish it off. There
On that note,
Oh my gosh.
you go. Yeah.
that's a good episode name. Have your mama and eat her too.
Yeah.
That could go so many ways for
Oh man.
listeners of the show.
They're gonna have to listen to the episode to know that.
Back to accounting.
Yeah. Okay. Okay.
Back to accounting. We are so
I mean,
derailed.
getting derailed is good when you're talking about accounting because almost everything is more interesting.
Yeah, no, not really. I mean,
But it's important, even though it's not that fun.
Yeah.
no, but we're gonna make it fun.
Extremely important.
We're gonna make it.
Yeah.
We're gonna make it fucking fun. So, podcasting. How's that going? How do you like it? Do you think you made the right call on doing that?
So far, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it was Teran's idea.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a lot more work than I thought it was going to be.
Well, you do editing and stuff in post too. That we're like, yeah, put it up there.
Throw it
put
out
an
there.
intro and an outro song on it. We're good to go. You do a lot more work.
Yeah, the editing takes at least an hour, if not 2 hours an episode.
Okay, that's not bad.
Yeah.
Plus, think about, I mean, with what we're putting out there, if you hear me stuttering and stumbling over my words, like how much faith are you going to have in the information I'm giving you?
That's true. So there is a little scripting that goes on beforehand.
There's a lot of
Teran does that
scripting
too.
because they need to be short episodes that people don't mind listening to.
Yeah.
So I don't want Carson going on all these rants because they got to be short, to the
Love going on
point.
rants, though.
I mean, as a multi-time guest on this show, he can do that,
Yeah.
and we love it though because hey, we can stretch it one out for 3 hours.
Yeah. And also, so when we're planning episodes, it has to be time of year, what's going to apply that time of year, and just a lot of planning and putting together the episode, then setting everything up and having Carson stop what he's doing and record, and then editing it. And then as I'm pushing the episodes, our show is growing. But if I don't spend the time to market it, it just we're at a standstill. So
Okay.
that's very important for what we're doing. But it's been really useful when we get questions from like our clients. We just send an episode. So there's a long format, like I need to send a 1099. Oh, here's our episode. So that has been so nice now that we have like almost 50 episodes. We have something for everybody.
You do, you really do, and like you said, they're short-ish, digestible episodes. All the information is parsed down and really made easy to understand. Whereas I've told them before, like, okay, if we have an episode that runs 2.5, 3 hours, I can see listeners, trailing off. They'll pick it up, but the episodes that are like an hour and a half or less do way, way better. And y'all are typically 20 to 30 minutes, I think, per episode, right?
Yeah, I try to keep it 30 or under. So if someone's like commuting to work, they can listen to something really quickly. So they're getting this free information. They don't have to sit down with their CPA, and it's quick.
Yeah.
And, some key points so that we're not like rambling on.
Yeah.
Could you
and it's
imagine our
different.
30-minute episodes? It would be like
No.
But it's
balls,
different.
cock, conspiracy, thanks, see you later, eat beef.
We're just
Out.
now finally getting back to them, and we're at 40 minutes of whatever the fuck we were just talking about.
But it is different. I mean, I listen to y'all for entertainment, and
Yeah.
I like the longer episodes. Maybe some people like the shorter ones, but I love the longer ones. But because I'm just getting into it, and then it keeps going.
Yeah.
But with accounting, I don't think anybody wants to listen for.
No.
And if you're learning, if you're trying to listen to learn, you really can't absorb more than so much information
much,
at a
yeah.
time.
Right.
Yeah.
Saturation.
Yeah, I
Read
mean,
saturation.
entertainment is really our goal, but we like to offer guests on here that can provide some information and data. And on,
Right.
Yeah, that's why we bring you on. And we bring smart people on.
We bring professionals on to a non-professional podcast.
That's right.
He's so disappointed that I'm never going to let that go.
Never.
Yeah.
He went on another podcast, and he's like, they're like, oh yeah, you're one of the whiskey bros. He's
I'll
like,
listen to that podcast.
yeah. He's like, oh, it's,
yeah.
just a cute little unprofessional podcast.
Whoa.
I
Low
get more
blow.
love for this podcast. So, yeah.
I did watch that episode. Though.
Did you really?
Yeah,
Yeah, it's
When
cool.
were you with the doctors? They
Yeah.
were the
Dr. Brown.
Gut
and,
check.
and they're what kind of
Gastroenterologist.
doctors?
Oh,
Yeah, that's the one.
gastroenterologist.
That's
Yeah.
the one.
Eric-
Functional gastroenterologist.
Yeah, that's Ken Brown, and then Eric is a anesthesiologist.
Okay.
So both very
And
knowledgeable.
I tell you what, the two of them make a pair, but that third one, Devin, their assistant,
Yeah.
and
She makes some pretty wonderful bread
Jeez,
and
man.
butter.
shout out to them.
Yeah, really. So have
Right.
y'all tried Outron Till yet? Okay, we're gonna hook y'all up. I'll get you some. But yeah, it's pretty good stuff, especially for days that you might drink or diverge from your diet. Carson,
Real good when
I
you've
would-
been eating a week of Thanksgiving food.
Oh
McDonald's.
man,
yeah.
that's no joke. I will be on it this week.
Carson, I would like you to
Yeah.
explain a statement on episode 44 at
no.
2 minutes and 11 seconds.
Let the interrogation start.
That's how long I have.
No. That's exactly when the statement came out of your mouth.
Oh, and what was the statement?
Quickly.
On episode 44, at exactly 2 minutes and 11 seconds into the episode, you stated that even IRS agents hate taxes. Explain yourself.
Oh well, they have to pay taxes on their income too, so they don't like it any more than we do.
Yeah, but their life depends on it too, essentially.
So does mine in
Yeah.
a way.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
You have a little more open door policy to your customers than the IRS does.
it's you got to think about like prosecutors and defense attorneys. I mean, both of them would go out of business if nobody was committing crimes.
Yeah,
So
that's true.
I mean, but here's the thing. They might feel differently than me, though. They might want there to still be taxes. They just don't like paying them themselves, which is hypocritical. I would be okay if they went away. I know that I would have to find something else to do, but
Well, people still have to manage money,
yeah.
inevitably, whether they're managing personally or, to pay taxes at the end of the year. So
Right.
There's
Yeah,
always
there's
that need.
There's a lot of things accountants can do outside of taxes. That's just my specialty. I would have to
But then we
find a new
wouldn't, we
specialty.
wouldn't have a lot to bitch about if the IRS didn't exist
True,
either.
what would
I
we
like
do?
bitching.
Yeah.
I
Well,
like
there
bitching
would,
You'll
about
still
them.
find something to bitch about.
Oh, it's true. Yeah.
there would
but
be
not as
taxes anyway.
passionately.
They couldn't get rid of them. What they would need, what I always talk about is a national sales tax. That's what I
Yeah.
would, if they would, I hesitate to say it just because I'm afraid they'll do it and then keep all the other stupid taxes they have. But if they could do away with property taxes and do away with income taxes and have only sales taxes, that's something I could get more behind
Yeah.
than
So,
what we currently have.
I look up here at our notes, and one of our points is living paycheck to paycheck, no savings. I feel like more and more Americans are in that boat,
They are.
And
Some that are high income people too.
right, absolutely. I'm not high income, but I have no savings. But
I wasn't talking about you. I was
Oh,
just
okay,
saying
yeah,
in
yeah.
general. I was just saying in general. I mean,
Yeah, I was surprised. I think it was a Rogan episode that they were talking about people in COVID in that era. Like nobody had a high percentage of Americans had no savings. So
Right.
if you're out of work or unemployed or
you're
whatever,
screwed.
yeah, you're screwed. So
Yeah, it's like you're turning to family members.
Yeah.
At that point, but all that to say is on the tax to what degree are taxes contributing to that? And on the tax front, in your area of expertise, like, do you see any change or relief coming? And the answer might be just this, like, horrible, like, terrible, like, no, it's not going to change.
To the second part, yeah. No, yeah. So the first part, taxes play a huge role in that for anybody that's self-employed. Most people that have W-2 jobs, the withholding is usually getting you there or pretty close. But if one or both spouses are self-employed in any way, I mean, just no one is ever ready for the tax bill that's coming due.
Right.
And so just if they do happen to save, then at least they're lucky they can pay the taxes, but then they were not planning to use that money for the taxes, but at least they have it, and then it's gone again. They're back to square one. And then you have the other people that didn't save and didn't plan for the taxes, and then they're going on a 6-year payment plan with the IRS.
Yeah.
At 9% interest and penalty.
Whoa.
So
It's not interest-free for tax penalties.
No, and they'll let almost anyone set up a 6-year payment plan without arguing. I mean, you don't have to do pretty much anything to do it,
right?
But it's 9%.
And they like you do it all online. You can have it done within an hour.
Oh yeah.
But then it's like a $300 check, or at least in my case, that comes out every single month, and
it adds up. I mean, it sneaks up on people all the time, especially people that go from being employed to being self-employed, or if you all of a sudden start making a lot more money out of nowhere. Because I do have self-employed people too that they just break even for the first few years because they're buying all this equipment and stuff, and then all of a sudden they're done buying equipment, and then they're like, "Oh, I just made $200,000, and I didn't have $200,000 of equipment to offset it like I usually do, and now I'm screwed." So that happens.
Get into farming and just never stop buying equipment.
every year buy more. I've got 14 excavators. What are you excavating? Are you digging to the center of the earth? No,
I start a construction company.
I just really hate paying taxes.
Had a lot of cow shit to clean up, and you needed some excavators for that.
And we do have some clients that are buying heavy equipment and things like that. That I'm like, yeah, but okay, you don't need it. And you're saving $22 in taxes, and you're spending $100 to save it, and they're like, yeah, and I'm like, and it's going to go down in value. But then turns out, look what I know, didn't go down in value.
Yeah, some of it appreciated.
Cars, yes, but heavy trucks and heavy equipment, no, it didn't go down in value at all.
Might have increased.
So I was wrong there. They saved some taxes, and then they had an investment that went up in value. So I mean, they knew something I didn't know, I guess.
Let's touch on that a little bit. So also in episode 44, you talked about some bonus depreciations with vehicles and such that are slowly and steadily going away. Right? It's a lower percentage every year.
Yes. So in 2023, it went down to 80%. For a long time, we had 100% bonus depreciation, where whatever assets you buy, you get to deduct the full cost as an expense in the year you buy it. Whereas the normal rule before they initiated that to stimulate the economy was that you depreciate things like vehicles over 5 years. So if you buy a $50,000 vehicle, you get, let's just say, $10,000 a year as an expense. Well, for a while, they were like, hey, if you buy it now, then you can deduct the full $50,000 this year against your income. And so that was to stimulate the economy.
Okay.
Now that went down to 80%, and then next year it goes down to 60%, and then 40% the year after, and then it's gone completely.
Okay.
We still have what's called Section 179.
Yeah.
It works similar to bonus. You get to deduct the full cost in the year you purchase the asset.
Okay.
But there's some limitations that don't exist for bonus depreciation.
Such as what kind of vehicle?
That's part of it. Another one is, it affects farmers a lot, is that you can't use it if you have a loss, and you can't use it to generate a loss. And farmers operate without a profit a lot of years.
Yeah.
And so, before, if you already had a $20,000 loss and then you buy a $60,000 piece of equipment, now your farm has an $80,000 loss that's offsetting all of your other income from outside the farm. You can't do that. It's activity by activity. So if that particular farm is already at a loss, you cannot use Section 179 on that equipment that you buy. So there's a lot of limitations there.
And going forward, that's in place now.
Yes, but now there's still 80%.
When does it phase out? 2026?
So in 2024, it goes down to 60%, and then in 2025, it goes down to 40%. Yeah, you're right. In 26, it's gone completely.
I saw a shirt the other day and was like, I have to buy this shirt because it says on the front of it, it's like, I swear this is my last vehicle.
Yeah. And it needs to be, because that's one of the problems is if you're buying things that are not going down in value, fine.
Yeah.
But if let's say you bought a 1 ton and you paid $100,000 for it, because that's just what they cost now if you're lucky, and then you got 100% bonus depreciation on it, good for you. You saved a lot of taxes. And then now it's going to be worth 50, and you buy another one that's worth 100,000. Well, if this is when bonus is gone, now that trade-in of 50,000 is a $50,000 income on your tax return.
Yeah.
And but you're only going to get $20,000 of depreciation on that
Because
new
of the-
truck
the
because
bonus
the
depreciation
bonus is gone.
Yeah.
And so now you're going to have $30,000 of income that year, even though you bought a freaking. Even your net loss was actually 50,000.
Just seems so wrong.
So it is wrong. But you
Yeah.
you already took that deduction. That's their point. But
Yeah.
whenever they play fast and loose with the rules and change them, it is unfair.
Yeah.
And before there was a way around that, before they changed all the rules, because you could do a like-kind exchange. Now, y'all are probably all familiar with 1031s for real estate. And you could do that with vehicles. You could do it with anything. And so it didn't matter. It's like, well, you're going to use that $50,000 of gain and you're going to offset it because you bought a new thing.
Right.
Now you can only do that with real estate.
Gotcha.
So there's going to be a lot of people in this situation where they trade in a vehicle that's worth less than the new vehicle, and they're actually paying tax because for tax purposes, there's income there.
This is now or in the future when bonus depreciation's gone?
It's mostly going to be in 24 and 25.
Okay.
And especially in 26 moving forward.
Okay.
So we're going to have a lot of people mad at us.
Yeah.
Because they don't know the tax law.
So on our podcast, on our
Right.
emails, on everything,
you're
we're
the
begging
messenger.
people to
Yeah.
talk to us before
Yeah.
every purchase, starting now and just moving forward. Just let us run the numbers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It doesn't cost very much to have us do it. So
Okay, so yeah, let's reiterate some of this info that we're getting through tonight are just snippets from your podcast, what your CPA wants you to know, Apple, Spotify, everywhere.
Yes.
audio,
Okay.
Audible.
Yeah, so you can find, what are y'all, 48 episodes in so far?
50.
Is it 50?
I thought that's what she said.
It was, the last one was either 49 or 50. I
Okay.
don't remember.
Yeah, there you go. So you can
Yeah.
listen to that over the Christmas break.
Because we've done one a week and then we've had a few bonus episodes.
Let's talk about a major change that y'all made pretty apparent about BOI and federal LLC reporting now is a thing. So what does BOI stand for?
Beneficial Ownership Information Report.
Oh, see, I was sitting here thinking it meant boy.
Boy,
Boy.
boy report.
You better find that report, boy.
Boy.
Okay,
That's
can you
why they
say
call it
that again? What does it mean?
Beneficial Ownership Information Report. They just want to know about all LLCs on the federal level so that you can report your information.
State-wise, you may have an LLC that you use as an entity that just either doesn't have any revenue flowing in or out, or it may hold something. Now, classically, before now, you never had to report that LLC to the federal government.
Right. And while it's public information, if you have an LLC in Texas, who the owner is and who the registered agent is and all this crap, there's states still where you can file for your LLC and that's not the case. And so now the federal government will know because you have to file a report.
I like how
explaining
Teran put
everything.
it so innocently, like how they just want to know that, you're not a drug lord. So, all right, let's talk about it. Pros and cons of this. But now it's another return that you have to generate at the end of the year.
The big con is the new filing requirement. It's
Okay.
paperwork that has to be filed for every single LLC.
Well, and it's going to be right after you file the LLC for any LLC filed in 2024 moving forward. So we're going to have to remember to file that report once they're debating, but like 30, 60, or 90 days after that. And the penalties are very high.
Yeah,
So
I remember you saying that. They're
that's-
not messing around.
No,
And
I think they're
this
going to
is-
make a lot on that.
This is the thing. It's like the speed traps on roads where nobody drives, so the
Yeah.
risk of death is really low, right? It's a revenue generating scheme, is
Yeah.
what I think.
But they're doing it under the guise of, we're going after shell corporate. We're going after the big guys, the money launderers, the drug lords. But
And I'm sure they want to catch those people. I mean, I think that they can have many motives, and I think some of them can be pure, and some of them are very not pure. But they're like, and also we'll catch people that are trying to shelter some income that are maybe just regular Joes, not giant shelter corporations. And then we'll also get a lot of revenue generated just from not idiots, just people that don't know any better, that are just regular mom and pop businesses that happen to have an LLC for protection, and they don't know they're supposed to file it, they don't know how to, or they do it wrong, and then we're going to charge these huge penalties, and it's going to create
and that's where
a huge
they're
amount of revenue.
So this makes me. I need whiskey.
Yeah, no joke.
You remember when the Biden administration says, "Oh yeah, we're how many new agents did they hire? $81 million into the
80,000 agents.
80,000.
Yeah,
and how
87,000.
was it billions or millions?
Hundreds of billions.
Into and they're we're not going after the small. These you'll never hear from an IRS agent. We're not going. We're just going to go after the big horse shit, and that's it. It's the everyday mom and pop.
Hard for them to go after the big guys, so they
the big guys are always outsmarting them.
But they don't go. They don't go after the little guys. That's true because they don't pay any taxes anyway. They go after the medium guys.
But if they're finding people for this that are these LLCs that are now going to go unreported, which they are until they get the penalty and whatever that's going to be. They're not going to know what they're doing.
No, but they don't have to use the agents to go after them. The computer system will automatically send them the penalty. That's the thing is these are not things that they need a person to generate revenue. The computer will automatically print and mail these letters showing that this is one of those things like if you didn't report income on your W-2, an agent doesn't have to look at that.
The computer
already caught it.
Yeah.
And there's not even a human being there that knows that you got a letter that says that you owe money. You just got one.
So I would imagine it's a very, very high percent of LLCs in Texas that are formed and probably fucking forgotten about because people are using them passively as protection for lawsuits and liability. There's no money flowing in and out. I know I forgot about mine that I created with him until I was like, oh shit, I got a notice and hey Carson, can you file a state report on this?
Yeah.
Completely forgot about it because I wasn't using it. It's just there for protection.
That state report, if you don't file it, it's just a $50 penalty. But what are the penalties on the?
I saw a lot of different numbers. They don't have everything set in stone yet, but thousands. So
just for one.
Yeah, and if you go like past a month, it's more. So it's a lot.
We're still talking about as a firm if we want to just like put out a notice about how easy it is to file because it is going to be an easy filing and let people do it themselves.
But people
so that we don't
won't want
take on
to.
that responsibility.
Yeah.
I don't know that I want that responsibility. Because people will mention offhandedly that they have an LLC and not set up a formal thing, and then it doesn't get filed, and they think it's our fault. It gets complicated.
I would think at this point the state comptroller has an obligation to now issue notices for people that have LLCs.
Yeah.
Like, come on, Texas, step it up a little bit.
Yeah.
If you want to.
I doubt they will, though.
The problem is the people that forget about their LLCs also forget where they set up the mailing address a lot of times, and so they're getting notices to file, but they're not getting them. They're sending them, but they're going to the address on file, and it's not your address a lot of times. So
Your company, I've run into that issue. Your company's under an LLC. Did you know about any of this yet?
No.
Okay.
No.
Now, you use them, right? But you would have.
Carson's got my back.
But if it's not for them,
Right.
if you don't have a close relationship with your CPA, then
I don't know.
and they're not, and you have a CPA that's not very informative or proactive about getting information out there, man, it's going to be a surprising high percentage of people that are going to get blindsided by that.
Because if you just have, if you set up an LLC for some liability protection, but you still have, it's for your Schedule F or your Schedule C business, and you don't have a complex business, a lot of times you don't need a CPA and you don't have one.
Yeah.
And I mean, this is going to get so many people blindsided, and they're going to end up owing these penalties. They're going to people are going to complain. They'll probably end up putting in a stepping stone for the penalties because they're pretty severe right now from what you're saying. And in Texas, they probably just be like, too bad. But in the federal government gets so much hate and everything about that they'll probably put in some baby steps for it, like, oh, it's $100 now, and then it's $200, and then it's $1,000.
But if they're going to start off at $1,000, that may wipe out somebody's monthly payroll.
Yeah. And there's going to be LLCs that have never made $1 that were set up for a different reason.
Get $1,000 fine.
And they're going to, and they've never made $1,000 in their life. So, yeah. Yeah, I'm not a fan of it. I mean,
my blood pressure is so fucking high.
I know.
More paperwork. It's just frustrating. And you would think we would like it, but we don't.
No,
I don't like
I
it.
know, right? I feel you. I take that on behalf of the medical system.
Oh, true.
Right? Similar thing. It's so absurd.
Yeah.
That it just sort of leaves you speechless. And,
It is.
That's another issue too. Is if you didn't have somebody that's up to date with these policies, where do you get that information from? I mean, it's not like there's, like you said, it's not like they're sending out
TikTok?
memos.
No.
Where are you going to get that information from? That's all these.
I wonder
changes?
because if people have an EIN on file
Yeah.
for their LLC, not everybody does. You don't have to have one, but
Right.
if you do, then maybe the IRS will send out letters to everyone that has an EIN on file. But there's going to be LLCs in states where people never got an EIN.
Yeah.
And then I don't know, like, what are you going to do? They're not going to even have their information. So you're required to follow this thing, or you pay a huge penalty, and they have no idea you even exist. So how are they going to know that you didn't file it though?
I don't know. They know. They have a computer, a really smart computer.
Maybe. I mean,
Yeah.
and if you're in Texas, yeah, because it's public information. But if you're in Wyoming, for example, you can set up LLCs there, and you don't have to tell them who owns the LLC. It's weird, but I mean, so if you do that and you don't get an EIN, how is the IRS even going to know that you were supposed to file this report?
Like they really.
Who are they going to go after?
Yeah, nobody.
Yeah.
Huh. So how do they work around that?
I don't know.
The
I don't know
IRS
what they'll
knows.
do. They might figure out something though. I'm sure they have a plan already.
And we haven't seen the report. Like, you can't look at it now, so we have no idea
created it.
all
They're
what's
still
on
fighting over
it.
that.
This reminds me of Nancy Pelosi talking about Obamacare. Well, we don't know what's in it. We have to pass it before we can see it.
Yeah.
Okay. Anyway, so while our blood pressure is nice and high and we're in a moment of rage, let's talk about some shit that happened to you, Teran. You know, you worked your ass off on growing social medias, your business, your own personal stuff, to the point of where you were getting like lots of affiliation sponsors, and then you got hacked.
Yeah. I'm still really mad about it. So and nothing has been resolved.
Well,
but
drink some tequila and let that shit out. Let's tell those sons of bitches all about it. Did you ever find out who?
And
or
tell them
what?
how many followers you had got up to.
So it's almost at 47,000 after 7 years of work, which is a lot of work. People just don't see that. Which for me, I enjoyed doing that. I started it when we started building our barndominium, and being an accountant isn't super fun for me. I don't like that most of the time, which is why I'm bringing up books and podcasts and things. So that was definitely a creative outlet. But a lot of times I told Carson, like, it's too much work. Like, I'm just not going to do it. But then I would have like a moment of like, oh, I was doing really well.
Yeah.
And then right before that, I went all in like to this mastermind that was for that. And I was like, my end of the month goal is to hit 50,000. And I was actually getting money from it and it was working. And I was like, this would be great. Maybe long-term, who knows? It's always good to have an audience of 50,000 people listening to whatever you have to say, whatever that is. And then while I was at the mastermind that I paid to be at for social media, I got hacked. And it just told me that in 3 days you can get back in. And I had actually paid for Meta support, so you're supposed to pay for that.
Oh.
You get support for that.
I'm so glad I didn't pay for that shit. I got
Don't.
the message that was like, "Hey, do you want to be Meta verified?" It's $12 a month, and they're like, "You get stars and tickets.
You don't get jack shit.
That's it.
You're supposed
and obviously
to
you
get
don't
support.
get protection.
No, you don't get anything.
You don't get protection. They left her hanging.
Yeah, you're supposed to get support. I did reach out to them. They said, "I'm sorry. It looks like you banned terms." And I said, "I didn't. Like, I was hacked, and this is what they're doing." And she said, "I'm so sorry. I can see that. Like, but just wait the 3 days." Well, then I got completely locked out of the app, and you have no support if you're locked out of the app.
Yeah, you would have to start all
The
over
support's
again.
through the
The
app.
support is in the app.
That's the
there's no
problem.
phone. There's no phone number. There's no email address to get to them. So if you cannot get into your account, you can't talk to anybody. So
The timing of that is really peculiar.
and it's because hackers are just finding people that have a lot of followers, and then they're taking down their account so that you can pay them to get it back up.
Do you know how it happened? What kind of method they used?
Yes, so they are not getting in your account and stealing your information like most people think of hacking. They are using bots to take down your account. So they're not actually getting in your information. They're just submitting all of these things to Meta saying this account is inappropriate, and then it gets flagged. Well, there's not enough people at Meta, so then it just sits there forever and you're locked
and they
out.
have to, for safety reasons, if they have 50,000 complaints saying that there's something wildly inappropriate, then they take the account down. Well, they use bots to get 50,000
Those complaints
registered,
yeah.
and then there's 3 people working there to actually restore you.
Wow.
He'll send some screenshots, Savage will, every now and then of like face, and they're obviously, it's like, we've noticed that this post goes against our rules and rate, whatever. Click on this link to resolve this. I'm like, don't fucking touch it, because it's inevitably.
It's a phishing attempt.
Yeah, it's a phishing attempt.
Yeah.
Inevitably, 3 days later, it's like their profile has a exclamation point and says this profile's no more or whatever. But yeah, there's, I bet 10 to 15 times now that they've tried to hit our inbox with, you better click here or your page is going away.
But this is bigger than that.
Yeah, this was like a long-term thing. If they
and we don't have nothing to worry about, because I don't know if you were listening to her, but she said they target places with lots of viewers.
Yeah,
followers, so we're good.
Well, you had
I think we're up to 22 now.
Yeah, so we're getting there.
it's your Meta, but your Instagram page is the one you really had built out to all those followers, right? And you had so it is now still, you can find your page at Modern Barn Dominium, is that right?
Yes.
Okay. And is that the one you want people going to?
I guess I'm still
not
very
now.
pissed off about it. I have like 600 followers, so
Yeah, but you didn't give up, and that's
I mean,
nice.
I kind of did, but
Yeah.
I
But
have to
tell
be on
them
there.
about the one good thing that came out of it.
Well, I am like morally opposed to TikTok because I'm too old for it. But I did finally open one just because I was just like, I guess, bored. And it had been about 3 weeks. I couldn't get back in my account. And within a week, I had over 20,000 followers. And so now I have about 35,000 followers within less than a month. So I think I'll hit 40 in a month.
Man, that's great.
Which
Oh
is,
my God.
Yeah.
Well, I think that the thing is, what she was really good at on Instagram was the Reels.
Yeah.
And TikTok is Reel. I mean, Reels
Yeah.
were invented to compete with TikTok. And so when she goes on TikTok, the originator of that format of viewing, I mean, she's an expert at that, and she knows what people want to see. And so she's posting videos on there. And
So what kind of
fast.
dances are you doing?
No dances, no dances. I think what it is it's part luck for sure, but part I knew what people are interested in. So I started posting about our family compound.
Okay.
And maybe we can tell them our little secret.
Yeah, so because of TikTok, because of her followers on there, then so a company reached out to
3 companies.
Yeah, 3 companies. One big one that has, let's not say the name, probably, I don't know if
Okay.
we're allowed to, that has produced reality shows that everyone's heard of. Even if you haven't watched them, you or your wife
I've heard of them.
have heard of them.
Yeah.
And they are interested in potentially doing now there's like 6 steps you have to take to get there, but doing a reality show about
That's awesome.
the compound where we live.
That's cool.
Yeah.
So the network was wanting a show about a family compound life.
Yeah.
And so that's why 3 networks reached out because they're trying to all pitch to this network, or the production companies are. So we did a couple interviews with them, and they're like, we love you guys. We're going to move to the next step. The president's going to be at the next meeting with all of the family. So
Excellent. So would they potentially like give you a whole season on your family compound, or is it a
It's
episode?
like Duck Dynasty, right?
it would be a season, but before that, they would submit our videos, just like little samples to
Yeah.
them. And most likely they would come back and say, we want a trailer. So they would come here to Decatur, shoot the trailer with the little budget that they get.
Yeah.
Once they watch the trailer, they would say yes or no to like 6 episodes.
And then you're famous, and then Meta's like, "Oh, we'll support
Oh,
you
yeah,
now.
let me fix-
we
let me
love
click
you,
this
Teran."
button.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it kind of makes sense too, because you see these reality shows and there's these big families and stuff, but a lot of times it's still the mom and dad are in charge and there's a bunch of kids, but that's it. But you take a compound like ours, where there's 4 different families with 4 different heads of the family, all in one 14-acre square, all living together, and there's disagreements. It's what they're looking for. I mean, there's drama there.
They want a little juiciness. Yeah.
Yeah, and it exists. I mean, we're not in agreement on everything in life about everything that we do. So
Yeah, families can be tough.
They
Yeah.
did say that while, they wanted to know like if we ever don't get along, of course the answer is of course we fight. They want to show that it can be normal. Like they don't want us to look like
Yeah.
we're like churning butter and homeschooling our kids. Like they want to this is
No, y'all
normal.
have drama and you get through it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
and-
that's the thing. I think
Right.
that's the best thing to showcase is there's a resolve.
yeah, we make it work.
There's an outcome. Yeah, and it's
and
not.
and we're not homeschooled. Not that we have anything against that. It's just that you see most of these families, these large families, and these groups like that, they're homeschooled, and I think they want to see that we're
normal
We're much
people.
more mainstream.
Yeah.
Our kids go to public school, and I mean, we're
We
regular
get out
people.
in the
We all have
public. We
businesses
associate
and-
with people that aren't our family.
Yeah. You network
Yeah.
in a little bit. So how many followers do we have on TikTok?
I have no idea.
I think we have,
Well, there's our PR man
it's like
right
22.
there.
I think it's like 22.
Could be.
Yeah.
Well, we're doing the highlights and the reels.
I think it's 22.
We're doing the
Yeah.
highlights and reels from this show, and one reel will get like 200 views, and then one reel will get like 2,500 views.
95.
And I guess it's content, but then
It's so many things. Teran knows all the things though, or most of the
Yeah.
things that affect it. I mean, sometimes it's what song is trending as a background music for your video, right?
Okay.
And that I mean, that's a thing sometimes, right?
Trending songs, time of day for your audience. It's different on TikTok versus Instagram. And then for TikTok, it's nice because you are going to get way more views than on Instagram. And so 2,500 is still a lot of people seeing your content,
yeah.
but I don't know a lot
and
about
we're not
TikTok.
boosting those reels either. We're not paying to promote those. Those are just all natural, I guess.
Yeah, which is the best.
But then you, when you start getting those, then you get the assholes that chime in. And I'm like, I feel completely validated because we put one up about Matt the other day talking about, the value of college education. And if it's free, it doesn't have any value versus, everybody having it or some people working for it.
Yeah, great reel.
Oh boy, the Marxists and the commies came out to comment on that one.
No, it's so true. It just turns college into, if they say, because a lot of people just want community college, like the first 2 years to be free.
Yeah,
And okay, well then that just makes it 13th and 14th grade.
exactly.
I mean,
Just
that's all it
yeah,
is.
it's just public
Everyone's gonna
school
do it. I mean,
again.
who's gonna go? Who's gonna go work a full time job when you could go to college for free? I wouldn't.
Yeah,
College is
right?
awesome.
Just stay in school, man.
Yeah.
Life's
Stay
groovy.
there forever.
I think that chick was a bot.
Oh, I wouldn't doubt
She had
it.
one. She was a theater student from University of Las Vegas with one post.
and didn't the
And-
photo have a cat in it?
Yeah.
Like, of course it has. It's always a
Yeah.
cat.
But it could have been a real hater. Like they will hate on anything. Teran posted a video of my niece and my daughter walking over to my sister-in-law's house, who lives next door to us, literally.
Yeah.
And both gated, right? Like, and she's like, "Oh, I stand here on my front porch and watch them walk over," and people are like, "Stuff can still happen."
Yeah.
Like we're being bad parents for letting. I mean, they literally walked. It's like 500 feet, and you can see them the whole way from door to door. And both of our houses are behind gates. Literally, I mean, you would have to. Yeah, I mean, they're access gates. They're not security gates. If you hit it with
shit
your
can
truck,
happen.
you could
Yeah.
knock it open. But the point of them isn't to be security. The point of them is that if somebody busts through it, then I'm armed.
Yeah,
like I know that,
exactly.
this is an enemy, I'm going to fire.
Right.
But I mean, this is what we're dealing with. People are like, "Oh, you're still a bad mom because like."
Oh, even more like the creepy uncle. Don't send them over to your family's house. You never know.
People are just, if they're not bots, they're just literally insufferable, abysmal people that don't leave their house, that
Yeah.
don't see fucking daylight.
I mean, there are those people too.
You are literally getting
Yeah.
harassed about your
But-
children.
and we get
being
it from both
outside.
sides, because then there's the other side that, okay, so it's 500 feet, and some people said that's too far. Something could still happen. Then one day we drove the golf cart over, and it's 500 feet, but it's funny. We pull the golf cart over there. Sometimes we have a bunch of like crock pots full of food and stuff. We go to parties over there.
Yeah.
And sometimes there are good reasons. Sometimes we just drive the golf cart because I have it and it's fun to drive
Yeah.
it. And fuck you, who cares?
Yeah, exactly.
But we did that, and they're like, you could have just walked the 500 feet. So we get it from both sides. People are mad about everything.
A lot of people said that.
I'm like, okay, yeah, we could have, and yes, we're both fit people. We exercise, but we have a golf cart. It's fun to drive it. Sometimes it's just fun to
Didn't you just
drive
finish
it.
an Ironman or something, a triathlon, and people
Yeah,
are
I did.
Shame on you for driving your golf cart,
Yeah.
you pussy.
And literally, it was like a few days after I did a Beast Spartan on Saturday, which is a half marathon, all uphill, and 30 obstacles. And then the next day, I did a 5K Spartan with Teran, another 20 obstacles, all uphill, 5K.
But you drove
And then
your
like 2
golf
days
cart.
later, we drove the golf cart. They're like, "Oh, you're lazy." I'm like, okay.
I mean, at that point, you kind of needed a break. Take the
just-
golf cart.
It's,
At some point, you just become the butt of people's comments, and it's just okay.
They have nothing
you
better
know?
to do.
well,
Yeah.
luckily, we it's almost impossible
fine.
to offend me. Like you could get on there and be like,
Right.
what is he wearing? He's so ugly. Why is he on camera? And I'd just laugh.
No.
I don't. I mean,
Yeah.
And I mean, there's almost nothing that could hurt my feelings.
So moving into personal finances, some of the stuff we just talked about, I want to ask y'all through mentoring.
So did you get your account back?
No.
You still have not. You still have not.
Go ahead, Doc. Chance wasn't talking.
Doc has the table. Let him have it.
That's I needed the cap on that
we
story.
have somebody working to help us get it back.
Wow, I am sorry to hear that.
Thank you.
But she still is hustling, obviously, on TikTok now. What's your username or handle on TikTok?
Teran Sands.
Okay, and then Teran Sands or Modern Barn Dominium once again on Insta.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I personally have an OnlyFans. Taryn hasn't joined me on there, so don't get too excited.
It's his feet, all
but-
feet.
We did say this was
Yeah.
episode
Dude, that's
69,
awesome.
so hello,
So-
OnlyFans debut.
I make sure to get some good calluses built up and post some feet pics. I mean, people like that.
Well, it's going to be hard when you're driving the golf cart 500 feet.
I mean, yeah. Can you tell your OnlyFans on here? I don't know. That's,
The things your CPA doesn't want you to know.
yeah.
The things your CPA wants you to pay to find out.
Yeah.
Hey, it's like if you can make money on feet pics.
Thanks for derailing whatever. I don't even remember what I was trying to
No,
segue
you're
into
saying
now.
you were getting
You
into personal
completely fucked
finances.
me.
Yes, I did. Dennis. You were getting into personal finances.
Now I'm so derailed. Okay. All right. So we're all getting older. Aged is
Speak for yourself.
yes.
Yeah.
What are y'all? 30, mid-30s?
He's 36. I'm 35.
Yeah. Okay. Not quite aged.
Yeah.
He's the elder of the room. So.
Technically, we
I think
are
he's
all getting
older.
older.
Yes.
Yeah, we are.
I'm
Getting,
pretty sure Savage Bro is the oldest.
as the great Pink
Yeah.
Floyd put it, one day shorter of breath and one day closer to death.
Wow, it's so positive.
I know. It's very, very enlightening. And as our wonderful commissioner put it, life's like a roll of toilet paper. The closer you get to the end, the faster it goes.
That's true.
Check out Whiskey Bros Around the Table for more positive insights. So, some of the things I've worked with this friend and mentoring, like my perception of what the fuck I would want to do with my life and money has drastically changed. And it's like, I don't really want to glorify the hustle anymore. Like, to me, time is the biggest,
Oh, I like where this is going.
Yeah.
biggest price,
Yeah.
the most priceless thing that you can do to invest for yourself. Invest
Yeah.
in things, or not no things, physically speaking, like what do they call it? Materialism.
Yeah.
Invest in things that will bring you more time with your loved ones. So what do
I
you-
agree completely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, we just, firmly stopped taking new clients for that reason.
Yeah.
And my family is morally opposed to cutting back your work hours. They're like, work hard your whole life
Yeah.
till you're like 80.
And then you can't enjoy it
Yeah.
because you're decrepit and beaten down from working. And
That's
grinding.
kind of
Or
it's the old way,
maybe.
right?
Maybe. And there's something to what Taryn's saying, and I'm more on that page because I've got a lazy streak in me a mile long. But I'm one of the hardest working lazy people you'll ever meet. But Taryn's grandparents too, though, they still own a business. They still work full time, and he also works his cattle himself.
Yeah.
I mean, he doesn't have maybe every once in a while people to help him with like
Well, I'm
once or
not-
twice a year, but they work like crazy. They're like in their 80s
Yeah.
and they're still hardcore. Like they could work me under the table,
I'm
you
not
know?
advocating for being unoccupied. I'm
Right,
advocating for if you do, find something you can do that occupies you, but not stresses you to the
that you
point
enjoy.
of that
Yeah.
you enjoy. If you can
Yeah.
enjoy doing it, then that's great. Like
That is true. He loves his cows. I mean,
I
he
hate
likes
my
doing
cows.
that. So
I hate my
you
cows
do?
He
so
loves
much.
it.
Yeah.
Oh,
See, if you'd let them
likes
just
it.
get a little older before you killed them.
Well, I think it's also to the if you don't depend on them, if you don't have to deal with them on a
Yeah,
daily
it's like
basis
that
and depend on
third
them for
car,
income.
right?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's not where their income comes from.
Yeah,
I don't think.
it's like
I
the
mean,
act
I
of,
don't know, but I don't.
take
yeah,
this-
working on a car sucks if you got to drive it the next day.
Exactly. Or taking
Yeah.
the act of volunteering, say, and then doing the same thing that you're paid 9 to 5 to do.
Right.
The person volunteering to doing the same thing is always going to be more joyful and love what they're doing versus being paid for. As soon as you turn it into a job, hate it.
I can speak to that because I did music as a living for long enough to know that anything is a job if it's a job. And
Yeah.
even it was my favorite thing in the world was music, and I hated doing it for a living.
Yeah.
So I got to where I that's when I got into talk radio and audiobooks because I couldn't listen to music in the car anymore because I was sick of music.
I'm struggling with that too. I find myself podcasts, audiobooks, just not so much music, and everything is shit these days.
Doesn't engage your brain.
No,
anymore,
it doesn't, and it's all. It's like singularity of music is happening. Pop is country is rock. It all sounds the same. All has the same beat, same tempo.
You have to go extreme. You have to go
you really do.
extreme, like Texas country or red dirt country or something extreme to get away from the melting pot of music going into the same.
The same thing's happening with movies and cinema. It's just in your face,
Is
explosions.
that really
action.
happening though?
Oh yeah. Now,
Yeah, you think so?
Or is it just us getting
pop-
older and it all sounds the same to us?
oh, I don't know, man.
We've heard so much
I don't
music.
know.
And
You know what I mean?
But I can listen to
I've suspected that. Yeah.
I can listen to music that I grew up with and I still love, but I'm also finding like my parents' generation, their music is still above and beyond what ours was in the 90s.
Yeah, I listened to a 3-minute guitar solo from Prince. Recently, it came up on a reel or something like that, and I was just thinking, it's like, yeah, this is not.
This doesn't get replicated.
It does not.
Everything is so processed, perfected, manufactured. It's just
Right.
it's disgusting.
That's hard.
Yeah, but it's everything. It's cinema. It's music. We're just old bastards.
But
That's what it is. Yeah,
but I
mean,
was sitting around. I was thinking, like, have I just not found the Prince of today?
You know?
know?
What? I guarantee you they're out there. Like, thankfully, through internet radio or Apple Music, Spotify, you can still find unknown artists like the Infamous. Those guys we went and saw once. They've got like 8 or 9 albums out. Local dudes killing it as far as music. You'll never find them on the mainstream because that's not what mainstream is.
Right.
So the genuine, real artists, they're still there. They're still out there. Thankfully.
Yeah, and you can stumble across them, but I did the other day. I was listening to The Ranch, and all of the new Texas country is starting to blend together, like you're talking about. But Parker McCollum stood out to me. Now this was 5 years ago, but he stood out to me, and I was like, okay, he sounds different. He's got a different thing,
Yeah.
and I really like him. I didn't realize he was, or some of the people in his band were local. But I just heard him on The Ranch, and I was like, okay. I actually noticed the song. It wasn't just background music, and I was like, he's really talented. And then, I mean, now he's kind of the new guy.
Yeah.
He's famous now, but
Yeah, he's very famous.
5
now.
years ago when I heard him, I didn't even know who he was, and I just thought he was. I was like, oh, wow, that's different.
Is there some Travis guy or some other dude that's I can't remember his
Probably.
name.
There's one that stood out to me, and here, what I like about this is I got verification, right? So whenever you like notice something, you're like, oh yeah, that's good, and then Joe Rogan talks about it, and then he goes, oh yeah, this is good. Then it's like, oh yeah, my lens is not so wrong,
Right.
and it was Colton Wall,
I've heard of that name.
yeah, and it's like, wow, this guy is really really good, and then Joe Rogan was talking about him in some side conversation.
Chris Stapleton, pretty good.
yeah.
I would
Yeah.
not call him country. I'd call him Americana and bluesy. Ryan
He's
Beagle.
been around for a while.
Yeah, thankfully there's still a couple good ones on mainstream, but for the most part, it's shit.
So there are the jewels are out there.
Yeah, oh, definitely, 100%. You had to do a little work and find it.
Called Taylor fucking Swift.
Oh boy, oh,
You gotta be careful with that. Taryn loves Taylor Swift.
you lost some T Swizzle.
I do remember you wanted to go see the movie instead of me, so don't throw me under the bus.
Oh,
That's true.
Okay, I like her too,
She's
and this is
obviously
coming from
perfected
somebody
her
that
craft,
when
right?
she,
Like,
when
she's
she first came out, there was
class.
2 of her songs that I really hated, and so I had a chip on my shoulder about her for a while, and she grew on me, and then I became a really big fan at some point. But
Swiftie. It's
I
called a
hated
Swiftie.
Tim McGraw. I hated that song, and I hated Our Song, which were 2 of her first songs back when she was still country, and so I had a chip on my shoulder about her. And even when we went to her concert, we went to a concert at the new Dallas Cowboys Stadium forever ago, though. And I didn't even, I missed the whole concert almost because I went and got a drink, and it took about as long as it took for her to sing to go get a drink. And I missed her. I only saw Ed Sheeran open for her, and I still had a chip on my shoulder. And then at some point, I became a big fan.
Yeah,
And I think it was when I realized she was writing her own music, and then her business acumen too.
so
it really
she is.
made
Like
me
I said,
happy.
she's business wise, musically wise, she's like perfected her craft. And
she's a genius.
marketing, all of
Yeah.
the above. But I couldn't tell you one damn song. I've never
Yeah,
listened to her.
I've
I
not
know a lot of
I've
them
not
now.
thought about thinking I should like her.
It's crazy. It's crazy. But I mean, all of a sudden, one day I realized, I was like, oh my God, she completely left country music, and no one else has ever been able to do that. Garth Brooks tried. You remember Chris Gaines? Remember? Nobody liked it.
No.
And she moved to pop music and became more
People
famous.
have moved in.
And then she's
Hootie and the
completely
Blowfish, like,
changed the...
went to country.
Yeah. But she completely changed the music industry now. So she re-recorded her albums, which Cross Canadian Ragweed had done it, and I think some other people had done it before them. But she did it and made it a thing, and took it back from the music producers. And then, like, her new tour, she's doing something different where, like, the promoters, the concert promoters don't get all the money. She gets most of the money as the artist that's making the money. And I had heard, I don't know if this is true, but that she might make $4 billion off of this next tour.
And how much on her movie?
And her movie, the first weekend, it made more than any concert movie had ever made in the history of concert movies.
Yeah, I know she's
And she didn't do a single preview. All she did was promote it on her own Instagram account.
Yeah.
And she made hundreds of millions of dollars. And all they did was record her Eras tour
show.
she was already doing.
That's it, yeah.
So as an accountant, I'm watching it, and I'm
Wow.
a musician, but more I'm watching as an accountant going, oh my God, she's a genius.
Yeah.
Like, she figured out how to make money without any expenses. She's brilliant.
Granted, these, it's not just $4 billion or $10 billion in profit. These productions are huge, and they take lots and lots of cost and effort and manpower. But still,
and she's decided that she's going to get the brunt of the money,
Yeah.
instead of someone else. And if they don't like it, she'll find another company that does.
So she's self-promoting,
Yeah.
essentially. And she's already outgrown and outclassed and outsold the Beatles.
Yeah.
And that was unthought
And
of.
she's 34.
Yeah. And not on drugs.
Wow.
Hey, can you pass me the Patron, Teran?
Yes.
I want some of that now. I'm switching.
It's good.
Hardcore.
You want some of that barrel over there?
So, Sturgill Simpson, he comes to mind.
Yeah, but he's done.
Yeah.
He-
I mean, is he?
Didn't he unofficially tell Rogan, like, yeah, I've made enough money and
Yeah, but so did George Strait.
I would, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know what George Strait is to me.
I think that the last set
didn't-
of concerts he did was just to promote his tequila.
Yeah.
Oh, well, there you go. He's promoting the
That's
product.
his concert at
I really don't know how I feel about him.
And he
Vegas was just...
Definitely does
Yeah.
not write his own music.
Right.
No.
I don't
His son
know if-
wrote one of his songs, but he doesn't.
I don't think he's ever written his own song. I think they're all produced by somebody else.
He was
I'm not a huge fan of his.
Yeah.
We had to sit on the back row for one of his concerts, and I wasn't that sad about it but like, we were with a group, and if it was a Garth Brooks concert,
I mean,
I would have
you
sat on the
didn't
front row
miss
and been like,
anything.
y'all have fun on the back.
Yeah.
Like,
Right.
I would, whatever it cost, I would have paid for it, and I would have sat on the front row.
Yeah.
Because I love Garth Brooks.
He's not like flying around the stage.
No.
Even
No, he
even
just-
though he's hiding bodies, you
Dude.
still love Garth Brooks?
Oh, do I need Conspiracy
Is he hiding
Crossroads?
bodies? Wait, are,
pull up the
are the
song
people,
again?
do they deserve it?
I don't know.
What bodies is he hiding? Is
Nobody
it like,
knows.
you
That's
know?
the conspiracy. It's
Okay.
just weird.
So
Look that up. It's good.
no,
Okay.
no.
What?
No. You don't come off spout that out and say, "Oh, just look it up."
I can.
Tell us what you know.
I don't. That's all. We already done. I have to save it for a new episode.
But
But
I must know. What?
no, that's how it works. See, now I got you wondering. So you're gonna wonder about this. until
That's
you-
how it works.
Uh-huh.
That's just how it works.
That's it.
Garth Brooks burying like in serial killer style, like Ed Gein style, in his backyard, or
I don't
what's
know,
what's
bro.
the?
You're just gonna have to look it up or wait till next.
Hey, what a way
episode.
to do it, because if you do it in the same area, you get caught, right? We learned that from Dexter. But if you travel around like the Trinity Killer,
Yeah.
you can get away with it for a lot longer.
Dismember
and
them
being
and-
a professional musician, no one would ever suspect you.
Do
Nobody.
you find it alarming of how many serial killer dramas there are, and like people are infatuated with? on
Oh man,
TV?
I've
and-
watched the
and it's like
documentary about
you're-
why we're obsessed with it.
It's
Why?
your
there-
typical
oh,
white
there's-
chick too. It's
Oh,
like
it's white women.
True crime is
Yeah.
a white chick thing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because like
Yeah.
minorities live that shit every day. They're like, I don't need to see a documentary about this.
Right.
We're in it. What
Right.
is?
What is it?
Hold on. You said there's a documentary about
Yeah,
why
I'm
we're
trying to
obsessed
remember. I
with this?
watch why. I mean, we're obsessed with shows about Dahmer and
Yeah.
whether it's the documentary or whether it's the scripted show or whether it's Dexter. I don't know. And there's different reasons. Like I'm not as obsessed with the crazy serial killers like Dahmer, but Dexter, like there's a part of me that the whole show, I was always on his side.
Yeah.
It had the
Yeah.
video-
He's killing
Oh,
people,
yeah,
but
well,
all the people deserved it. And there's a lot of people that are like, it's still wrong to kill him. I'm like, I don't
Yeah.
think so. Like, he's killing child molesters and stuff.
it
I'm
had
like,
the relatable
I loved it.
vigilante element to it.
Yes. I was like, get them all. You know,
And then poor Dokes, man. Surprise, motherfucker.
that's the one that once he has to start killing people that weren't evil,
Yeah.
in order to get away with it, all of a sudden I was like, okay, like I'm not super into this anymore. Like I feel
That was
sorry
great.
for those people.
That was
'cause
great
they're-
writing,
They're
though.
just doing their
Like,
job.
They had to tear at your emotions, and
Yeah,
that
they
was
did.
like
They did.
phenomenal writing. And then
Yeah.
it ended, and the way that Dexter ended was abysmal. It made me.
But did you go watch the new one?
New one's great.
And they ended it better.
Better, much better.
They fixed it. Yeah,
they
they
did.
fixed
They
it.
fixed the
New blood
abhorrent,
or whatever,
whatever the hell they did.
Yeah, it was
Yeah.
a fitting end.
We're not going to spoil it, but
No.
the ending of the first series of Dexter was just tragically
So have you watched
awful.
the Dahmer one?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah. With God, what's that guy's name?
I've not watched
He's
it.
in American Horror Story, and he's a great actor.
Yeah.
He's in almost every season of American Horror Story, and he's incredible. He's probably the reason that show's successful.
Really? So I've always felt like maybe there's some level of horror that's too dark for me, but is it like, is there
So
I did watch
the thing is it's not glorifying it so much as it's illustrating that they tried to play it off like he was this genius.
Uh-huh.
And it was all bullshit. None of that was true. What they were doing is they were trying to make him look that way to cover up their own ineptitude. The reason nobody gave a shit was because in the 80s he was killing gay people and black people, and mostly gay
wow.
black people.
Yeah.
And so nobody gave a shit. That's what the reality was. But they wanted to make it look like, oh, he's such a genius. That's why nobody was able to catch him. No, he was a fucking idiot, actually.
Yeah,
he should have got
really.
caught about 400 times.
Yeah.
If you watch the scripted show, it will show you
good.
like all the stuff that happened, but they play some of the real 911 calls and everything.
Yeah.
I mean, dude should have been caught like 16 times at least. And yeah, a few people would have died if they would have caught him then, but not as many as did.
It was pretty silly how much of it was glossed over by
So
law enforcement.
So what aspect of humanity caused him to do what he did? It's like what part of humanity is that show kind of outlining?
They address
or
that in the
answering?
scripted one too. So okay,
Upbringing.
but they leave
Yeah.
it vague. They leave it to your imagination, or maybe it was a combination of things. So first, his mom was on all these drugs when she was pregnant, and this was back in the day when the doctor was like, "Oh yeah, take more."
Yeah.
Like tranquilizers and all kinds of like mood stabilizers and maybe even some antipsychotics. I can't remember. She was on a lot of shit.
Yeah.
And then she was checked out his whole life. The dad was in and out of the picture. Sometimes he was a really good dad, it seemed like. Sometimes he was completely out of the picture. So he had a lot of fucked up shit happen to him.
Yeah.
Too
a
in his
lot.
childhood. So was it the chemicals when he was a baby? Was it his neglect? Was it the bullying, which he also experienced? Was it the fact that he was gay at a time whenever it wasn't okay to be gay? There's so many
like
elements.
a collision of possible factors.
Yeah, and it was so many things, and so it could have been any of those. It could have been one of them, but I mean, it is interesting to watch the show and try to come to your own conclusions, like what caused him to be that way.
Right.
So yeah,
Maybe I need to watch it.
You do.
It's good.
Yeah.
it's sickening, but it also is interesting. It's important, I think, too.
What something I could relate to? What horror crosses that threshold for you? That's too disturbing.
Yeah, like there's some horror movies that
Yeah, give me an example.
yeah. I
One you
mean,
couldn't
I
watch.
don't watch them, but we'll watch the preview or the trailer, and if it's like that kind of poltergeisty thing, but not like fake, obviously fake, then it crosses a line, and
So like, God, what were the?
but like the Joker, I watched the Joker, and it's like, okay, that was a really sick movie.
Oh well,
and it's
that
like
wasn't a horror. That was
yeah, it
just
wasn't horror.
a mental illness.
It was
issue.
like psychologic
yeah,
thriller. So I'll do that.
like the
but-
Paranormal Activities. Are those?
No, those are goofy.
Yeah.
So I'll watch those. But if it has a certain amount of realness to it, it really kind of freaks me
I
the
can talk
fuck
to like
out.
some
Yeah.
some pretty like the Antichrist film, which also has William Dafoe in it.
Yeah, see that one was okay.
Irreversible that has Monica Monica Bellucci, I think that was her name.
Yeah.
Salo. Oh, there's some sick shit out there, man.
Yeah, I've not watched Salo.
It's an unforgettable one. I would not recommend it to anybody.
Yeah, who's a bit sensitive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a movie called Rubber. That one's
Oh shit.
That's a horror.
See, me and Taryn are scared by different things. She's scared more by the ones that are real or that could be real, like Scream,
be.
Yeah.
And I watch those and I'm not scared because I'm like,
Right.
these are like high school losers. I could whip the shit out of that
Yeah.
dude.
Yeah.
I would
Yeah,
take
yeah.
the knife out of his hand and make him eat it. Like, I'm not scared of that dude. I'm scared of stuff with supernatural people. Like,
That's it.
And
That's
she's not
it.
scared of that because she's like, yeah,
Not
but that's
real.
not real. But I'm scared of them because I can't take Jason. Like, you watch this dude, he's a professional boxer and he boxes the shit out of Jason's face. Jason's like, oh, well. And then he punches his head off. I'm like, I can't take that dude. That dude scares me.
Or Freddy, like somebody that chases
Yeah.
you in your nightmares so you
Yeah.
can't sleep.
And he's got
that's
knife
kinda
hands. Yeah,
terrifying.
that's not real. And he's already dead. He already burned to death. Like, okay, I can't take that dude.
But
You know?
guys in masks and Scream, it's like, we live in Texas, like AR-15.
Yeah, yeah.
PVS
I'm not scared of your
14 night
knife.
vision.
I'm not scared of your knife.
Suppressor. Come on, bro. Let's dance.
Yeah. Also, he kills that girl like when she's trying to crawl through the doggy door on the garage, and like that's not how garages work.
Yeah.
I'm just not scared of those movies because none of it seems realistic to me. And I don't know. I'm like, no, dude, just yeah. It's clearly it's a dude in a mask. You just take the knife away from him. He's a skinny teenager and whip the shit out of him. You know.
Yeah, with a voice
Yeah.
changing.
Which a lot of the
device.
people he's chasing are teenage girls, so I mean, I can see how that would
Exactly.
be scary. If
Scary.
when Taryn watches it, she's a teenage girl. So
Okay, so I think I have a parallel. So
Oh,
whenever
good.
I was in college and Half-Life was out.
Oh, the
there-
game, yeah.
Yeah, there were times where I'd
that's where you
stop-
try to like in the world, right? With a
Yeah,
disease?
like it was. That's it. It's like he was like some biolab, and then this organism breaks out of this biolab. We don't have anything compare that to.
No,
right? But,
nothing.
and then you have mutants that you're fighting. But I wouldn't. There were
Those
times
mutants have like blue hair or pink hair and have
something like that.
preferred pronouns, stuff
Right,
like that.
right.
Those kind of mutants.
Yeah, him, her.
Those are just in movies
Yeah.
only.
I go by Quay.
no,
Scary,
but
scary shit.
there were some nights where I'd be there like playing that game alone in the dark, and then I'd have to stop and like turn the lights on because I'd get like just way too freaked out.
Oh yeah.
And I think horror movies are the same way. It's like, okay, if I'm I do a lot of movie watching on my own because I like deep introspection, right? But I'm not gonna watch a horror on my own, right?
Yeah.
But I might watch one if somebody else is watching it with me. But my family just doesn't like horror.
I try to watch them on my own.
Yeah,
with
none
some
of my
type
family
stuff.
like horrors either.
Yeah.
I need a palate cleanser after. I
Nobody.
watched.
Nobody caught it.
I watched
Nobody.
Us. I watched,
Nobody.
Did you say whores?
Nobody caught
Horror.
My family don't like whores.
it. Nobody caught it.
I watched Us when Taryn was in Wisconsin because she doesn't do horror movies, and so I watched that, and then I have to watch something very lighthearted right before I go to sleep. It helps me go to sleep. But have y'all seen that one? It's like Jordan Peele's. It's like his second kind of horror movie.
There was the one where he was the Us was the one I remember. They're all in red.
Get Out was the first one.
Get Out,
That was the
that was
most
funny.
popular, and then he
Yeah.
had Us, and it's newer and it's freaky.
Yeah.
It's actually really good. I thought. I
Yeah.
mean, it didn't get near as many good reviews as Get Out, but I thought it was really
Where there was a
interesting.
whole nother civilization underground.
Yeah.
Yeah. Not to give
Yeah,
up
but
give away
they
too
weren't-
much. Yeah.
all there. Yeah. It was freaky, and it had some surprises in it that I didn't see, which I always like because I almost always guess the surprises. So when you can surprise me in a show, it's pretty good.
I'm liking his work so far. I didn't like it at first, but then I bought it. The Nope movie. I loved it. That's great
I
sci-fi.
didn't see that one yet.
It's great sci-fi. Just wonderful sci-fi. Not really scary, just good sci-fi. All right. I mean, here we go. Derailed again from
I know.
But this
I'm
is what we
partially to
do.
blame. I get off topic, but hey,
This
it
is
makes
what
it
we do.
interesting. This is how you make accounting interesting.
This is why Carson is a frequent guest.
It's like the biggest
Fits right in.
horror show of them all is like the IRS,
Yeah.
right?
Now that's terrifying. There's nothing scarier. I'd rather watch every Saw movie back to back in the dark by myself than get an IRS letter.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
terrifying.
That's terrifying.
And then, have your customers that get the IRS notification, and the first thing to do after the the initial butthole pucker is like, I gotta call Carson. What is it? Oh God, Carson, calm down, man. Everything's gonna be okay.
It just text me a picture of it. I'm like, no, it's
It's
fine.
always an emergency too.
It is.
It feels like a life-threatening emergency.
It
It's like
does,
I'm going to
yeah.
prison. This is it. Every
taking
time I
me.
see it, Department of Treasury, like fuck. I'm going to jail. I'm going to prison. This is it. And then you open it up. It's like, we've taken notice of your address change. That's all.
Have you got the ones where they change it and they change it back?
Yes.
And they're the ones changing it. They're like, in our system, in order to save space, we're truncating street to ST period.
Yeah.
Like, great. And then they get another one. They're like, we changed it back to street.
Thanks for taking
Like-
hours off my life.
Yeah.
I'm using my tax dollars to print those
I've got
letters.
7 new gray hairs. Thanks. Appreciate it.
Well, let's get to where we're going to wrap it up and talk about your new. As I was trying to get into that earlier, personal finances. You have a new book out. So you've got the first one is what you're basically everything you offer, what your CPA wants you to know in book
About
format.
starting a business.
About
Yes.
starting a business, and then you have a smaller rendition of this, all about S corps.
Yes.
And now you have a new one. So take it away, Teran. Tell us about what this new one is, where you can get it, etc.
So the new one is the Personal Finance Workbook, and it is a 4-week program broken into just 4 financial meetings with either yourself or you and your spouse. And you walk through basically everything that we think is very important for personal finance. So not just your budget, even though we do explain budgeting in there, but setting up your retirement, calculating it if you already have saved for retirement, life insurance, everything. If we wanted you to do all of these things, have like a perfect personal finance picture, that's what it would be.
Yeah.
And then so it's set up into a 4-week program, and that comes with 4 weeks of support from us so
Okay.
that you'll actually do it in those 4
Wow.
weeks.
Yeah. So you're
Sign me up.
yeah, you're checking in to make sure they're doing their homework.
Yeah.
And okay.
And it is homework. It's 4 weeks that says, like, here's what you should do before the next meeting. Here's your agenda for the meeting. So you don't have to think about it, because lots of people say, yeah, you should be meeting about your finances. Well, what does that even mean? What
Right.
should we be saying? So each thing has an agenda. And then once you get through the 4 weeks, we included agendas for following meetings. So if you want to make sure that you're doing them once a month, there's some extras in there to make sure that you know what to talk about once you get done with the program.
Okay.
And it can be, we had done these ourselves, and then we did good for a while, and then we got off track with it. And then one time we met, and we realized we went through and we got rid of over $100 worth of monthly subscriptions that we weren't using. I'm not talking like we got hardcore
Wow.
and we're like, I'm going to cut Netflix when I use Netflix. No, we kept Netflix, we kept Amazon Prime, we kept Hulu,
But-
all the
but
stuff we
like
actually
Max.
used.
Yes.
These were subscriptions to shit we never used. We hadn't used for months, and it was $100 worth of them.
That's
Crazy.
yeah. So $1,200 a year you just save by cutting out the fat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that happens too. The subscription things, like you said, Max.
How they get you.
Well,
Yeah.
Discovery had its own a la carte, Discovery Plus or whatever, which we had. And then I noticed if you're a subscriber to Max, it also includes Discovery Plus. So it was double paying for the same shit.
Yeah.
So stuff like that. But
And,
But
and
and it's
currently
stupid
we're
stuff.
subscribed to Paramount Plus. We're paying for it. And recently she added the Walmart Plus thing.
yeah,
Includes it.
And it includes Paramount Plus. And I haven't gone through and done the extra steps because it's like $9 a month, but I need to, because
adds-
it's,
yeah, that's
I mean,
helpful.
I should have it for free, you
Yeah.
know? I mean, and it's things like that. They add up though, especially if you're somebody that's living paycheck to paycheck. So it can really make a difference.
which, as we stated, lots
Yeah.
of people are.
An extra $100 a month towards your debt, if you don't have any
But
wiggle
that's
room
a-
in your budget, is a lot.
That's a small aspect of what you're talking about here.
Oh yeah. That
Yeah.
was
Yeah,
just
it's a
an
whole
example, yeah.
program.
This is an
Oh
all-encompassing
yeah,
program.
it's talking about retirement. It's talking about
Your
life
savings
insurance,
account.
savings. Yeah,
And you're putting the pressure on, like you're following it up with putting the screws to them a little bit and keeping them responsible and having the dialogue with them.
Yeah, I think it's something people put on the back burner super often. So hopefully that helps get them
Sometimes
started.
it's tough to talk about,
Yeah.
especially with spouses, even business partners. Finances are just kind of tough to talk about because most people have different perceptions or different perspectives on how things should be handled.
Yeah.
it's the number one cause of divorce in America.
Mm-hmm.
More than religion, more than
Fidelity.
sex or lack of sex
Yeah.
or infidelity. Money fights are the number one cause of divorce.
Yeah, I can completely understand why. Like I said, it's just a difficult subject sometimes, or a lot of times.
But the way Teran had it set up is that, or has it set up, is that it's 4 weeks of meetings and it's also 4 weeks of support. So it does kind of hold your feet to the fire. It's like, look, you paid for this thing. It's a good deal, but you paid for it. And if you will do the 4 meetings and the 4 weeks you're supposed to do it, you'll have support the whole time. And so if you've done all 4 of the meetings and all 4 of the things you're supposed to do in the book, and you still have questions, it's free to ask us, and we can answer all of those questions.
So I know what people think. Like, it's like, okay, for most people, like, this may work, but my situation is so shitty. It's not going to work for that. It's like, does it work for those situations too?
I think that a lot of people have actually questioned the opposite. So they're like, well, we already have retirement. We've already got life insurance. We budget, it could be better, but is this really for me? And the answer is 100% yes, because that's why we created it. We were there. We had already went through Dave Ramsey. We had already done this, but it starts with the conversation about what is your goals. Everybody's goal is different. We want to retire early. Some people don't. Some people want to work more, and some people want to travel or like pay for their kids' college. So the whole 4 weeks starts with just talking about what's our goals. Like, what's your goal? Do you want to have someone come clean the house weekly? Do you want to have some fun money in the budget? So it really starts with like, what do we want to do? We don't tell you what your goal should be other than like, if you want to retire at this time, let's work backwards and make sure that you're getting there. So I think that's the best part of it is it starts with just where you're at personally. It doesn't assume anything about if you have debt, if you have a ton in retirement, anything. It could be for anybody.
And also, what are your goals, but what are your non-negotiables along the way? Because for us,
that's important.
We're not
just as important.
Wait to travel, for example.
Right.
Like, we don't buy a lot of things. We don't care about things very much.
Yeah.
And if people do, that's okay. We're not judging people that like things and they're like, hey, I love Texas and fuck everywhere else. Like, well, great. Then buy some nice cars, buy some cool shit if that's what you're into. But just figure out what that is and make sure that's where your money's going. Because it's easy to let salesmen talk you into buying a nice car, for example, and you don't even care about cars. I don't care about cars at all. And I don't hate anybody that does. The people that love cars, good for them. I just don't care at all. Like, if I could have a cheaper car and go on an extra vacation, that makes me happy.
Yeah.
And luckily, that's one thing we're on the same page on, is that our non-negotiable is trips. We go on 4 or 5 trips a year, some with the kids, usually one without. And that seems like a lot of vacations to some people, but that's just where we put our money. And we have a lot of other things that we save money on. For example, we eat at home a lot more than most people. There's things like that for some people, that's a non-negotiable. They're like, I'd rather kill myself than cook. Great. Well, then eat out. Make sure that's a non-negotiable in your budget, but also make sure that it balances out and that it works. That if you want to retire when you're 60, not when you're 80, then you might need to make some changes. You might need to make some sacrifices, but you don't have to sacrifice the things that are most important to you.
Right. And so, there's nothing like that. Like, Dave Ramsey was very popular for a while, but Dave Ramsey doesn't negotiate with Amazon very well. Right.
There's things that, he would say that once you're in a certain stage of the program, then live your life the way you want to live it. Go on vacation if that's your thing. But if you're in debt and you're going on vacation, he's probably going to yell at you a little bit.
Yeah.
And I have mixed feelings about it. We did things a certain way, but I don't expect everyone to do that. You can have some non-negotiables and still get where you want to get. Yeah,
we guide out of debt using Dave Ramsey's methods, but we are definitely not 100% Dave Ramsey. And that's just, I feel like when you bring it up, some people just cringe.
They shut down.
Yeah.
Like for example, I don't know that you need to go down to $1,000 in your savings account and put everything else towards debt. He's been giving that advice out since the 90s, maybe the 80s even.
Yeah.
And that was probably enough then. I can't think of an emergency that only requires $1,000 right now.
Right.
Except maybe you get a flat tire. Maybe you could cover it with that, but definitely not 2 emergencies. And most emergencies are more than that. So it's, in his line of work, you have to be consistent, and I get why he's stuck with that. But if you want to keep $3,000 or $5,000 in savings just in case something happens, I'm not going to beat you up for that.
Yeah.
You know, you just want to start there, and then after that, start paying off debt. And along the way, you're like, hey, we're gonna die someday, and I want to travel every year until I die. And you want to do that too, and pay off debt. I'm not gonna beat you up for that either, because I know that my stepmom's father, he said something to them when they were talking about, oh, when we retire, we're gonna do this. When we retire, we're gonna do that. He's like, nope, He's like, don't wait, because you can't. You can't wait because you might not have the health to do it, or you might die. It's like, do it now. There's no reason to wait.
Yeah, you're not promised
And
tomorrow.
so, yeah. And so there's some things that are non-negotiable. You can't have 10 non-negotiables. That's not realistic. You can't be like, I want to have a $120,000 truck, and I want to go on 6 vacations a year, and I want to retire early. You can't have it all.
You're just going to have to
you
make
met
more money.
Chance? He's literally right there.
I've only been on 2 vacations this year. Thank you very much.
There's some exceptions, but most people can't.
Yeah,
have
his
all
kid
of
isn't
those.
in volleyball yet.
So
Yeah.
you rank your things in order. Like retiring early is up there, but it's not above traveling every year.
Yeah.
'Cause I hope, and I'm working my hardest to make sure I'm still in shape enough to do all that when I'm in my 60s. But
Or it could be
but shit
paying
could happen,
for your
you
kid's
know?
education, you know?
Yeah.
It's like,
Yeah.
it's,
Yeah.
but
Well, and-
having the conversation, I think
Yeah.
that's what's important,
That's
right?
just having the conversation and getting on the same page instead of just avoiding it. And we even
Right.
have 2 pages full of here's some examples of goals you might have, so that
2 pages
if you
worth.
can't think of what it would be, that way you just get the conversation started. That's the whole
true.
goal.
That's to
That
get the
can
ball
help
rolling.
inspire you to, oh yeah, that is something
Well, it
I want
might
to do. I
save
want to
your
do these
marriage.
3
Yeah.
things,
Right.
and if I can do these 3 things, it's worth the hard work
Yeah.
of doing the budget and maybe cutting back some places that don't really matter to you. You know, we used to spend money on shit that we didn't even like.
Oh,
How many people spend money
we
on
still
stuff
do.
they don't like?
Yeah.
You know, and we blew a lot
Christmas
of money on our
decorations,
Sedona trip, but we loved
right?
that. And I wouldn't
hate
take that
Christmas
back. Yeah, I hate
decorations.
Christmas
Yeah, but I spend money
And-
every year on them.
And if you go to Goodwill or
Right.
what's the one that it benefits blind people we used to go to all the time? The other one, it's a resale store like Goodwill, but it's better.
Plato's
I don't
Closet.
remember what it's called.
Well, that's just closed, but it was another one. It was awesome. It was another resale store that I thought was better than Goodwill. Dude, you could get Christmas decorations there for like $1 a piece. Sometimes you walk to the register with some, they're like, no, that's what we paid
Wait, you
for
went into
at the garage sale. It's $1.50.
A secondhand store
"Oh,
for blind people?
The money.
No, the
Sorry,
money.
the
benefits-
money
Totally
goes to
blind. We're
benefit-
poor and blind. I can't-
Unlike Goodwill, the money to this one specifically goes to like benefit blind people.
Oh, okay. So the proceeds.
Yeah.
It's not a store.
It's like Goodwill. It's a
tailored to-
nonprofit, but people donate stuff and they sell it to other people for cheap. And we used to get a lot of stuff there. I actually have some kick-ass whiskey glasses that I got from that store, and I can't remember what it's called.
You're going to have to
We-
think of
the
this.
CCA, right?
Yeah.
Christian Community Action. That's what it is.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they had
Selling
some,
whiskey glasses.
Yeah, there were some whiskey glasses that they had there that are really cool. Leavenworth, Kansas is where they were from.
Yeah.
Secondhand stores are legit. And
Yeah.
Sarah's, man, she's really been all about it, especially with having little ones that outgrow shit on a daily basis.
Yeah.
Are done, over their toys on a daily
Yeah.
basis. Like we've got a steady rotation of
Oh,
stuff going out to a
speaking of
secondhand
that-
store and then buying stuff to bring home because they
Yeah.
have cool shit.
Yeah, they
It's
do.
in
Speaking
good
of
shape.
that, we need to give you some car seats.
Okay.
We have 5 sitting in the garage that the cats are sitting in.
If
They're still
anyone
in good
needs a
shape.
car
They're not
seat-
past the 5. They're at 5 years. You're supposed to throw them away, but
Yeah.
they're not even close to that. We just upgraded to booster seats. We've got 5 unused car seats sitting in the garage for the next stage.
Okay.
You're still in
We're
facing
still blown-
backwards.
yeah,
You
we're
might as well
But,
throw
but
'em
when
in
you
the
start
trash.
facing forward, we have the next step ready to go.
What were you
Yeah,
saying?
You might as well throw them in the trash.
Why?
You lost him at cats sitting in them.
I'm highly allergic to them.
I'll clean them.
We're on the fence with Cora
clean 'em
if
for
she's
you.
allergic to them or not.
No, they can be cleaned.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, we'll clean them for
Pressure
you.
washer.
Yeah.
The whole fabric comes off. You can throw them in the washer.
Yeah.
You can ask your wife
It's a
about
good car
that.
seat, yeah.
Yeah.
A washing machine is a thing you put fabric in and detergent, and then you.
I wash my own clothes, thank you. I prefer the pressure washer method, though. Like one of my neighbors laughed his ass off. He drove by and I was out pressure washing. We got a secondhand bouncer thing for Cora. And I'm like, this thing's got dust and shit all over it. So I went out and pressure washed it in the driveway.
No,
Got it all cleaned up
that's
for
where
her.
you should get all the toys because they're so overpriced. And what's the place
Oh,
we used to
God,
get the
yeah.
kids' toys from? We used to get Sailor's toys. Now we're lazy and we order them new, but we used to get used toys on everything. What was that place?
I don't know. Kids to kids, I think.
Kids to kids.
they have a
Yeah.
lot
It
of-
was like strollers and baby walkers and like every
anything
kid's
you
toy
needed.
thing you could think of, and it would be like $3, but at new it's like $100.
Yeah, Toys R Us, anything kid or baby related is like, mark that shit up because people are going to pay for it.
And people use them 3 times and they get rid of them.
No, no.
Like so many. If your kid ever gets into Paw Patrol, oh please, we're about to get rid of all that.
We're
Thousands of dollars worth of Paw Patrol toys.
Yeah, we're trying to not utilize screen time for as long as possible.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So sometimes
She might not know if she got a Paw Patrol tower. She'd be like,
thanks.
"This is the stupidest thing I've ever seen. Why? Why is it like this?"
My dog's right here. Whose dog is this? Toys R Us is supposedly reopening. That's a thing again.
It was didn't the stock get bought by a conglomerate of toy manufacturers so that they could try to keep it open? I thought whenever they went out of business and they ended up going bankrupt, that's what happened. Is like a lot of the toy manufacturers that sold
like
the Toys R Us,
together.
they went in together and bought the stock to try to keep some of the stores open.
Okay, so maybe that's the situation.
Yeah, we actually, when it's kind of sad because I mean we went to Babies R Us when Sailor was born and we bought a lot of stuff there.
Yeah.
And when I was a kid, Toys R Us, that was like, it was almost like going to Six Flags, you know?
yeah.
You
Well,
just get to walk around through there and find stuff.
It was an amusement park and toy store all in one.
Yeah, it was
Play
the
video
best.
games. Babies R Us is a cool place. I confess we kind of, dicked them because we went there and found what we liked and then went on Amazon and found it $100 cheaper.
Yeah.
We did buy her crib and that set up from Babies R Us. It's a really good store.
I
Should
put
go
Barnes
there.
& Noble out of business the same way. I used to go scan the barcodes on the books at Barnes & Noble and then buy it on Amazon for half the price.
Jeff Bezos is
got
why
him.
he is because of you. Then have you seen the pictures of him with his new little young hot wife, where he's sitting in the cab of like an old '60s model farm truck with his stupid? Like, only in America can some asshole pretend that a billionaire asshole pretend like he's some poor downtrodden farmhand in a photo op and make millions of people love him.
No, maybe he does own.
I mean-
he might own more farmland than you. Him and
Oh,
him
I'm
and,
sure he
and
does.
Bill Gates,
yeah.
like
The
they
guy
gotta
does
grow
employ a lot of
bugs
people.
on him.
You can't knock what Bezos has done.
I can hit on any billionaires that I want.
I'm just saying, like
I don't.
It's hard for
lot
me
of-
too because I'd be a hypocrite because I order, I don't know, 3
Yeah.
things a day. from
I'm not
Amazon.
knocking what he's done. I'm knocking what he's trying to pull off with his image. Like Elon came to Texas, brought his rocketry and stuff here, and but kind of came
he's
a
Elon.
pseudo Tex. And then
Yeah.
Bezos did the same thing, put on his farm hat that some poor immigrant wore for 20 years and wore out, and he puts it on his head. And it's like, oh, look at me! I work so hard. I'm a blue collar man. Yippee-ki-yay!
Yeah.
No, you're not a blue collar man.
in the meantime, he makes a
Bezos.
rocket ship that
Who
looks
has the
like
last
a
name of
Hitachi.
Bezos anyway? Like, where does that come from?
I mean,
What the fuck?
wow, you're hating on him hard.
Anyways,
But
can you find your new book on Amazon?
You cannot. Just
okay.
whatyourcpa.com.
Okay.
We if you put it on there, they take 70%. Unless it's $9.99 or less.
Yeah.
So if you sell a book that's $9.99 or less, they only take like 30%.
Yeah.
But if it's more than that, they take 70%.
Okay. That's insane.
Yeah,
That's
it's
huge.
freaking crazy. So we're selling it ourselves.
Gotcha.
You're waving your hand, Heath.
Well, the GoPro, the camera on them cut out. We knew
Really?
We knew it would, but it made it
Okay.
to 2 hours
Where's the
this
one
time.
on me?
Yeah.
Where is that one?
Right
front of
here
your
in
face?
front of you. Yeah, right here in front of you.
Oh,
So
it's facing this way. I thought it was facing that way.
Yeah, it's a good place to wrap this up then. So your books, all 3 of them, can be found in physical or PDF, like digital format too.
Yes.
All at whatyourcpa
Yes.
.com. Check out Teran and her socials, Modern Barndominium, Teran Sands on TikTok, Facebook, What Your CPA Wants You to Know, and also Instagram. You have 2 Instagram accounts, right?
Yes.
Okay.
So we're at what your CPA wants you to know on Instagram too.
Yeah. Find them and show them some love. She deserves it, and you guys deserve it. Well, thanks for the chat.
No, it was
and
great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
and the visit once again.
Thanks for having us.
Are they our only guest to like official professional guest to return?
Yeah, I think so.
it is.
No.
Yeah.
We'll have to make it a three-peat.
No.
one day.
Who's been on twice?
Will.
Oh, that was
He doesn't
not-
count.
yeah,
We'll just
that-
have to make it a 3.
There's nobody more professional than Will.
Will Carpenter is the most professional man I've ever
That's
met.
me.
in my
I know,
life.
right?
Yes, very very professional.
I just drove by him today. He was taking his trash out very professionally.
He's very professional about recycling. And then also go and show their podcast some love. Leave them a review. What Your CPA Wants You to Know podcast on.
Listen, you've never found so much free accounting advice in your life.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, absolutely. All right, Carson, Teran, thanks for coming back on.
Thanks for having us.
Happy holidays to everybody. Good night.
You've been listening to the Whiskey Bros Around the Table.